What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. And wow, it's been a minute, right? It's been, I believe, about a month, actually. More or less a month. But hey, I'm happy to be back. I've got a little makeshift studio set up here, which we've done the best with what we have. Let's just put it that way, all right? Hopefully it's not too cluttered and distracting for you guys. But hey, we're here. We're going to have a good time today. How are you all doing? I see a couple people already here. Mark's here. Mark, what's up, man? Jesper and Fractor, you guys are all bright and early. I guess some people are going to filter in as we kick off because this is going to be a good one today. I've got a couple videos I want to take a look at from some pretty big and famous, let's say, I suppose you could use the word famous, loads of followers, subscribers for these accounts. And they're these kind of freedom accounts. You know what I mean? They're the kind of people that are all about like, don't trust the government and you need to find out the truth. And that's what we're about. We're about the truth. We don't hide the truth from you like the mainstream media and this kind of stuff, right? So there's a couple of these accounts and they've both discussed veganism and pretty blatantly discussed veganism, one of them, and the other one discussed animal rights. And it was pretty interesting, actually. But they both failed pretty miserably with the goals of their channels. They're both, the aims of both of these channels is to tell the truth and speak truth to power and all that kind of stuff. But they both just fell to pieces when it came to animal rights and veganism. So that's what I wanted to share this with you guys. I wanted to get into that with you guys. I think it's something we can all learn from today. And I'm really hoping that these accounts are going to invite me on to talk about this after this stream. I hope that once I've clipped some stuff out here, put the videos up, I'll send them the videos and hey, who knows, I might be able to get on there and have a chat with them. What's up, guys? I see you've got some newbies headed in. What's up? Goix here, Zana Ox, Vegan Plot Ahead, Ifrendo, what's up, man? Turning Veganese. Hey, good to see everybody here. Lots of regulars in the live chat. Welcome, guys. Awesome to see you. So yeah, we've got a pretty good one lined up today. As always, guys, I'll be trying to react as much as I can to the video and focusing on that and focusing on what we're looking at. If you want to catch my attention, just drop in a super chat or use the Streamlabs link, which is right there in the pinned comment. As always, guys, all the money that you send with those comments is going towards the work that I'm doing, which you see right here on YouTube. And there's also a confidential project that I'm working on, which I can confirm to you it's animal rights. It is 100% animal rights, the confidential project I'm working on. It is only for animals. Honestly, and I want to make this clear because I think there's been some rumors going around, some people trying to stir some shit. So let me just say this on the record now. We will not benefit in practically any way from this project, as in myself and Annie. We will make no money from this project and it will do nothing for us personally. It is only about animals, this project. And there's the sole purpose of it. It is money spent for animals, and that is it, okay? I just want to make that 100% clear about what this project is. So every penny you send through today with the super chats, with the Streamlabs, and if you're in the Patreon team, please continue supporting with that. If you're not, please consider it. And if you're in the YouTube memberships team, thank you. And if you're not, please consider it, because every single penny that comes through is going towards what you see right here on YouTube and all this work that's public, and also all this work for animals behind the scenes, which we can't tell you about yet, all right? Trying to make that all 100% crystal clear. So it's so valuable to us when you send us through like €1 or €10 or even €100, which is amazing. It is so valuable to us so we can get this work done. Because like I said, it is spend, and we are not going to see any of that money back, all right? That's how this project is. It is just one of those projects, and it's worth it for animals. It's worth it for what we're going to be able to achieve, so. All right. So, yeah. So, in short, please do send through some super chats, some Streamlabs today. Be legends as we go through and pop in some interesting comments and questions, and I'll do my best to get back to the chat as well, all right? All right. So what have I got lined up? I got those two videos lined up. I got a couple other videos lined up. I might be doing a long one today. And then a couple of things, like a couple of news stories that I was going to put in the Face the Facts Friday, but I decided not to because the Friday, it was getting too long. That's what she said. So I'm going to speak about a couple of these news stories as well. So what we'll be doing a mix today. Going to have a good one. Going to have a good, chill, interesting stream, I think. Going to take it slow and easy because it's been a while, all right? Need to warm up back into it. We need to get into it slow and steady. should we kick off with the first video, guys? So it's by this Redacted, it's called. They're like, it's Redacted. I think it's a podcast, Redacted podcast. Here you go. This is them, Redacted. 2.12 million subscribers. Look at that. So 12 days ago, they made this video here. Vegan activists sink to new low attacking farms. Redacted news. And it says here in the description, vegan activists trolled a goat farm that had high reviews online. Why? Because they were an animal farm. The owner invited them to come see how humane her farm was. But when she showed up at the appointed time, none of them showed up. How shocking. So that's what we're going to take a look at first. Hey, DJ Lernal, bloody hell, man. Kicking things off in an amazing way. Thank you so much for that big tip, $20. I appreciate it. Thank you. What a way to start. We're at, 6 minutes in. We've already got one super legend in the chat. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Right. Let's, should we take a look? Let's take a look at this one, right? I have watched it, just all full transparency, but I've not, I watched it quickly at two times speed. I always do that just to make sure it's worth reacting to. And then I was like, yeah, we'll get into it slowly and we'll do it together. So here we go.
Well, vegans trolled the reviews of a goat farmer in the UK just because they were an animal farm. They did not have any basis, like this place abuses animals. This place has been known to, have these practices. It was just because...
Ooh, hold up a minute. We're already 15 seconds in. She said, they did not have any reason to do this, right? As in, this place abuses animals, or there are certain practices they didn't like, right? Just remember that. Remember that, because the type of farm this is, just remember that statement that she said there. The vegans didn't have any reason to go after this farm. They didn't have necessarily any practices, or there was no animal abuse. Any bad practices and no animal abuse, all right?
Because they were animal farm and they had good reviews before. They were invited by the owner to visit the farm to learn about the way they cared for goats. But guess how many of them showed up to that invitation?
20.
No.
1.
No.
0.
0. They did not go.
So I will say, this is one part of this video I think I'll agree with them on. The vegans who were invited to go and then didn't go, I think that was a massive mistake. You've missed an opportunity to go down there and explain to them the problem that you have with their farm and get it all on video and actually have some kind of debate or discussion with them at their farm. I think that was a big missed opportunity. So I'm with them here. That is a bad look on us as vegans. The vegans who didn't go, that's a bad look on you guys. If any of you are the vegans who did this and you're watching this video, that's a bad look. At least one of you should have gone down there or a couple will just filmed it and had the conversation.
So they felt comfortable reviewing this place negatively, having never gone. This is the Gourmet Goat Farmer. This was their Halloween promotion last year. They're super cute. This is a livestock farm of goats only. They sell goat milk, goat cheese, goat soap, and wool products like goat socks. Well, socks for humans made of wool from goats.
So, okay. So this is a goat farm, right? As she said. And then she said they sell milk and different products and wool and socks made out of goat wool, right? And then she stops there. Now, at this point, guys, I was thinking to myself, right, so this is a farm that the reason they think they're doing nothing wrong at this farm is because they are not killing the goats, right? Maybe that's why they're saying, hey, vegans, why are you bothered about us? We're not killing the goats. All we do is milk them and take their wool, and we don't hurt them or anything, right? And I thought, well, okay, maybe this farm just needs to have a sit-down discussion as to why that's still not okay, right? As it turns out, though, guys, I did a bit of research, and unless there's another farm by this exact name in the UK, they serve goat meat. They sell the meat of these goats. They kill these goats. Now, I don't want to use euphemisms here, so let me just explain what they do to these goats. These goats in this photo right here, they grab them, they get someone to shoot them in the head, and then get a knife and pull it across these goats' throats so they can chop them into pieces and sell them to people visiting the farm who do stuff like this and sit with the goats and play, and then they'll go and buy some meat and leave. So now, can you see earlier on how that kind of came around where she said they don't abuse the goats? I don't know why the vegans, there was no abuse and there was no practices that they didn't like. I think that counts as abuse. Do you not? Caring for an animal, loving an animal, making them trust you, and then killing them by stabbing them and shooting them in the head and stabbing them in the neck. Is that not abuse? And those practices, I'm pretty sure those vegans have a problem with those specific practices, as do I, as does every vegan on the planet. This is disgusting, is sickening. And they're showing this image of these happy, friendly goats because they want to try to convince the viewer, oh, look at this, look how nice this is. Show them these goats in the slaughterhouse, terrified after they've just been betrayed by these people who pretended to love them. How disgusting is that?
Sell goat socks.
They don't sell goat socks. The fact that they can still do this is a miracle in and of itself, because livestock farming in the UK is incredibly hard. There's a great book about this called Rewilding by Isabella Tree, where she talks about how she was a cow farmer, and it just is so hard to keep livestock farms in the UK. One, because they subsidize farmers not to farm, and the government has overregulated and every bit of it. So it's really hard to do, to be a livestock farmer.
Those poor farmers, they have it so tough, don't they? Everything's against them. Hey, you know what they can do? There's this crazy idea, right? I don't know. Just bear with me on this, guys. But you know, when your job and your business is failing, and especially when your job and your business, it completely depends on you taking animals, forcing them to have babies, and then killing them, and then forcing them to have babies, and then killing them again, and then just doing these cycles of abuse and violence and killing, and it's not even going very well, and it's getting harder and harder to do it. You can, you can get another job, yeah. Like, you can actually start another business. You can use the business acumen you've gained from this business and apply it to another business that doesn't involve any of that. That is how the world works. I don't understand why this person here or any person has all of this, I don't know what you would call it. It's just misplaced empathy for people who, like, yes, someone's business fails and you say, oh, that's tough, you know. But when it comes to farmers, people are almost brought to tears by, God, they just have it so hard. These farmers just have it so hard. Just, what can we do about these? No one, why don't you have that same energy for somebody who used to work at Blockbuster when Netflix came in? Why don't you have that same energy for all of these, I don't know, for any other business that went out of business because of a new product or a new thing or a new system? I don't understand the difference. Do you cry when, are you going to cry, for example, when, I don't know, there's some new robot machine that can, I don't know, clean toilets in hotels. So now they don't need people to come in and clean the toilets in hotels, and they just, oh, these poor people, they cleaned those toilets, and now they got the machine. It's just, I just don't get it. But farmers seem to have tricked the world into having this insane empathy for them, more than they would any other business. It's always baffled me. I've got to admit, it's always baffled me.
But the gourmet goat, or is it goat gourmet? The gourmet goat farm has hundreds of reviews on Facebook that are positive, and Google and other travel news sites, because they invite people to come and, like, feed baby goats with a baby bottle and pet them and take care of them and then shop in their store. Like this lady who went recently said that this is one good review on Google. She said, yeah, look, I had a great time feeding these baby goats. Look how happy she is, right?
Well, yeah, she went and fed a baby goat with a bottle of milk. And in about, I don't know, it could be 6 months, could be a year. I don't know how long. This seems to be like a non-industrial type of farm. So I don't know quite how they work. But at some point in that baby goat's life, that baby goat's mum or dad will be shot in the head and have their throat slit to be cut up into pieces and sold to people at the very shop where the baby still lives. I mean, yeah, the baby's having a great time now, and this girl's having a great time too. Would the baby let's fast forward to when the baby goes to the slaughterhouse. Or let's fast forward, why don't we take this girl to the slaughterhouse where she can see the goats that used to be babies and what's happening to them now. And let's see if she's still smiling. I mean, anyone can pick the nice moments of animals' lives and show people that, but that doesn't change the horrors that are about to happen to them. Like, I can take you to a field and show you some sheep or some cows grazing in the field and go, look how happy they are. And I'd be right. They are happy. You'd be right. They are happy. In that specific moment, they're probably having a bloody great time. Now let's take them to the slaughterhouse and let's go and see what's happening to them there. What happened before that moment doesn't matter. It's not like because they got to graze in a field or sit with a girl and be fed by a bottle, that gives you the right to then kill them. That doesn't make any bloody sense.
Well, this is pissing off vegans. A vegan Facebook group called the Vegan Wiltshire got incensed that the farm was receiving good reviews, and they rallied one another not to protest it or check it out for themselves, no, but just spam them with bad reviews because they exist.
Yeah, they spammed them with bad reviews because they're giving they got this veneer of beautiful, loving, cute goat thing going on. It almost, from the photos that you've shown here, it looks like a sanctuary. They're actually inviting people in and are treating the goats as if they are individuals and deserving of like love and affection and compassion, and that's the kind of how they're selling it, right? So the website, I suppose, has some elements of that to it. The social media definitely does, because people are going there, aren't they, to do this, to the shop and stuff, to do this kind of thing. So they've got this sanctuary loving vibe going on with all these beautiful reviews, and they're getting money from this. And the vegans are saying, wait a minute, hell no. People need to realize this is not some sanctuary. They're killing these goats. They're exploiting their bodies and then killing them for nothing but money. Not for survival, not for any meaningful thing, just money. It's all just to make profit off the back of these animals. So they went in there and review bombed them. And yeah, they could have gone to protest them, of course. They could have gone to done other stuff. But they chose to do it this way because this is a pretty effective online protest. It's a strategy of online protest to negative review bomb. And then when people go to read the reviews, they'll see actually, as long as the reviews are saying, this place kills goats or this is exploiting animals and explaining why it's bad, then it's a good way of drawing attention to the problem rather than letting them get away with like thousands of positive reviews, which are people who just got to play with some goats for 5 minutes, which, okay, great. But as I said earlier, that goat's going to end up in a slaughterhouse. So that should be, the full picture should be online. Oi, play. What's going on here?
They said, give them negative reviews. They literally said, there's no way. Here's what the original post said. Now, this is the Facebook group, but I didn't join it because I felt like I probably shouldn't. Here's what they said to each other. Can we have some negative reviews on this place, please? There's no way an animal farm should be able to enjoy a 5-star rating. So those vegans decided to do it. They decided to post reviews saying they were vile or a nasty bunch of animal reviewers. They said good people like this don't have animals. And so the woman...
Where's the line?
Good people like this don't have animals?
What was the quote? I'm missing it from that. It said good people don't abuse animals or farm animals or something like that.
Is that an offensive quote? Good people don't abuse farm animals? That's a good statement, isn't it? And then obviously these people don't think these animals are being abused. Of course they don't, because they're just seeing all the cute pictures and the cute photos. But these people, these 3 people here, they're all about exposing the lies, exposing the truth, and getting the behind the scenes takes, getting past the mainstream narratives, right? Here they're falling for a mainstream narrative. They're falling for this farm's veneer of nonsense and all this beautiful, loving, idyllic stuff. They've completely fallen for it head over heels. Like I said, their job is to literally look through that. So it's incredibly disappointing. Why not do like that extra bit of research and see why the vegans are genuinely bothered? It seems like people just continuously fall to pieces when animal rights comes up and animal veganism comes up, and what happens to animals comes up. Even the ones like these guys who literally spend their entire careers trying to see through propaganda, and they fall for the propaganda.
It was just on the screen. Go ahead.
Well, and on their own page, they've got 2 fox on the top. Are they protesting fox for eating chickens?
I don't.
Jesus Christ. For real, like, man, they've got foxes on the banner of their Facebook group, right? The vegan group has foxes on the banner. I guess because they're also sabotaging the hunts, right? Because in England, we still have fox hunting. So that's probably why the fox is there. They're probably a group that is also concerned with that. Are they protesting against foxes? That kind of silly argument of, but other animals kill though, is something you expect from your average street troll. It's something you expect from people who have never thought about anything critically in their entire lives. That's who says that. People who just don't think about much, right? That's the kind of person who says that, because it's a very poorly thought out statement. Oh, animals kill, so why can't I? Do you want me to do it? Do you want me to explain why? I guess I should. I guess you should assume that not everybody's heard the answer to this. You're not a fox. You're not a lion. You're not a crocodile. You have reason. You can believe in things, and you can look into what you think is morally right or wrong, right? Foxes don't do that. So why would you base your behavior on a fox or any other animal? Why would you look at them and say, they do this, so I want to do that too? I should do that because they do that. I have the right to do that because they do that. It makes no bloody sense. It wouldn't stand up in a court of law. It wouldn't stand up in any society. Animals do some really messed up stuff to each other. Stuff that we won't do to each other or to other animals because we have morals, right? That's the answer. So this guy, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's just a guest, but wow. For someone who's on this channel, who's supposed to be here because they think about things, critical thinking, part of a podcast with 2 million subs, supposed to be seeing through the propaganda. We're here to tell you the truth. We're here to protest and, rebel. You just say the same stuff as 99% of people who don't even think about things properly when veganism comes up. What is that? Hey, thank you so much, David Ramses Goddick. I feel weird saying that out loud, for the super chat. Good and benevolent people do not exploit animals. Absolutely right. You're 100% correct. It is a fact of the matter. Well, good and benevolent people who understand it, at least. Once you know, you have no excuse. When you don't know, when you've not considered what you're doing and you've been indoctrinated, I think somebody could be good and benevolent, but because out of ignorance, right? But the second they know, then you cross the line into knowing. And now, if you want to consider yourself a good person, you can't keep doing this to animals. I think there's definitely, once you cross that line, and you need to make the change. So yeah, I hope this guy sees this segment, because this was embarrassing.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're coming after foxes next.
I'm not sure.
The way things naturally occur in nature.
Yeah.
They're going to go after all the fish in the ocean, too, for eating smaller fish.
I debated. I was like, should I try?
That's the other guy, the other host as well. They both are. This guy I don't think is a host on the right, but the middle guy is a regular host. And he said the same nonsense. Bloody hell, man.
Join the group to see what other kind of stuff that they post, because I'm not a vegan. It is not my life philosophy. It's not my nutritional philosophy, and I don't want to be a dick and join a group just to call them out. It just felt like that wasn't ethical journalism. That's
okay. If you want to do some ethical journalism, have me on your channel. I'd love to come on and have a chat with you guys. I think I've been pretty reasonable so far. Guys in the chat, have I been reasonable so far? I don't think I've even said a swear word so far. I think I'm being pretty relaxed and pretty chill, considering we're talking about horrific violence and killing. So yeah, invite me on. We'll do this. We can have a chat about it. I'll answer all your questions, and I'll ask you guys some questions too.
You might have to break up the old watch band for that. So.
What do you mean? The
old rainbow watch band.
Yeah, and then I did actually click through to the guy who wrote this post. His profile is open. It's got a lot of inflammatory stuff, some of it very racist, about Islam for whatever reason.
Interesting. The next video that we're going to look at, by the way, after this one, we're about halfway through this one. The next one that we're going to look at is by another channel very similar to this one called the Lotus Eaters. And they are specifically talking about Islam and halal, which is why I won't spoil it. We'll get into it. But yeah, it's interesting that she mentions it here. I don't know what the person she's talking about, this vegan who is apparently being racist, she doesn't show the clip. She doesn't show a screenshot, so I can't comment on that. But if you are a vegan who is racist, knock it off, man. I mean, I'll just don't. Just knock it off, man. Come on. Don't be like that. All right? Come on. All right, that's enough of that. Let's go.
I'm not going to recommend that you do that. Like I said, I don't want to pull certain people out into this. We're talking about a general philosophy, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he was being... If this guy racist stuff on his page, you should have brought it up and blocked out his name. and then we could see it, right? But I don't know. It probably wasn't actually. It was probably something to do. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. Let's just move on.
Okay. I'm just trying to give people their space to be dicks if they want to.
Well, yeah, I mean, these farmers are not doing anything wrong, and these people are literally just trolling them in order to give them bad reviews.
Well, they're not doing anything wrong in your opinion, but actually, if you came down to the slaughterhouse, maybe you'd agree that they are doing something wrong, right? Because it's legal. These people, I don't know what their politics are, these people, right? But a lot of people, they just say, oh, if it's legal, then they're not doing anything wrong. And that puts them in a pretty difficult position, a dodgy position, because not so long ago, they'd be the same people saying, well, I don't know why everyone's kicking off about slavery. It's legal, right? It's still legal. So I don't know morally, it's legal, so it doesn't matter. They're not doing anything wrong. The traders are not doing anything wrong, right? So if that's where he's coming from, saying they're not doing anything wrong, well, that's pretty messed up. If it's that breeding animals to exploit and abuse their bodies to then kill them for money, not for survival, for money, if you don't think that is wrong, then you have to explain to me why harming other animals for money is justified. You have to explain, where do you draw the line then? So is it okay to do this to other animals as long as I get a benefit from it? I can hurt other animals as long as I benefit from it, even though it's not needed, even though I don't have to. That's also a pretty bad position to take, isn't it? It's a pretty scummy thing to say or to think. So whichever way you spin it, what this guy just said is not so good, is it? It doesn't look good. But I'm assuming these guys, all three of them, haven't really thought about this. It seems like they haven't thought about it. It looks like it, doesn't it? And it's disappointing because these are the kind of people that should be thinking about things before they speak about them. These people are independent media, and they're the ones, like I said, they're exposing the BS. They're the ones that look behind the scenes and don't fall for the propaganda. Well, it's not looking like that on this topic.
And to try to drive people away from their business because it doesn't comport with your way of living. Like, you don't want to eat meat, that's fine. If you want to do that, that's your philosophy, then you do you. Just like if you want to wear a mask and get vaccines, you do you do whatever you want to do, right? You want to do meth, go ahead, as long as you're not hurting other people.
No, I was just about to say that, right? So he's a libertarian from what he's saying here, I think. Libertarianism is basically, you believe that each individual has the right to do basically whatever they want to do without government intervention, so long as it doesn't harm others. That's libertarian philosophy. So when he's saying you could do meth or whatever, it's like, I'm sure he'd rather you didn't, but he believes the government shouldn't come in and stop you from doing it. I guess that's libertarianism. Now, I know libertarians who extend this, correctly so, to animals too. Do whatever you want as long as it doesn't harm others, including animals, right? Because why would you not include them? They have families, they have friends, they have feelings and emotions, they feel pain, they have bodily autonomy just like we do. We are very, very different in so many ways, but we are very, very similar in the ways that really matter. So a lot of libertarians will include animals in this, and that's why they become vegan. So I agree with him. Do whatever you want as long as it doesn't harm others, including animals.
And that's where it crosses the line for me. Now you're hurting other people because this farm has goats.
You're hurting them. They're not hurting them. They're putting bad reviews on the page because they are hurting animals. It's that simple. If it were a dog breeder and you were against breeding dogs, mass breeding dogs, because you care about dogs, and a load of non-vegans went onto this page and review bombed them saying, this is disgusting. These people breed thousands of dogs and sell them, and they don't even do home checks, and they're just using them to make money, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And if it were meat eaters doing this, would this Redacted even make a video about it? No. The only reason they're making this video is because it's vegans and they've got an agenda against vegans, right? But the second it's a non-vegan issue with animals, as in most people are bothered about it, well, it's totally fine to review bomb a business as long as most people agree, as long as most people are against it. But not if only real animal lovers, only real people who care about animals. If only them are against it, vegans, then are we going to go after them? Like, you become the establishment when you do this. These guys become the mainstream narrative establishment when they criticize vegans for sticking their necks up out there and actually speaking up for animals in a way that nobody else will, right? You become the establishment.
Sell goat milk and goat cheese, and that doesn't comport with your vegan lifestyle.
Well,
so
I'm
you're
going
hurt
to
these
show
other
you
people?
how you can protect these goats in a second, if you really care. So the woman who runs this gourmet goat, she invited these vegan activists to come to her farm. And here's what happened. The arranged appointment was August 16th at 4 p.m. and no one turned up. She said, these are just keypad warriors. They're not listeners. She said, she later said they don't know anything about country living. They just want to sit there and type angry things and rile themselves up as victims. She did say they scare her kids.
So, okay, we'll get to that kids bit in a minute. No, they don't rile themselves up as victims. They rile themselves up about the animal victims of these people and these victims, real victims, and what's happening to them. That's what's riling them up. I already said that I think it's a bad move that no vegans went down to the farm at this appointed time when they had apparently arranged it. You should have gone, guys. I don't know if the ones who were doing all the criticisms were in the UK. I mean, the group is in the UK, so it should have been. Should have gone down there, should have filmed the interaction, should have been done. You didn't have to protest, but you could have gone and spoken to them and explained your issues, see what these guys said back to you, filmed the whole thing, put it online. It would have been a good opportunity. And if I'm ever in the UK, I may go down to this farm. I might contact them and say, hey, I'll come down and talk to you guys. Let's do a video for my YouTube. Because at the end of the day, we're not only going to stop these things that we're against with only protest and only activism in that sense, right? We can also talk. We can also communicate. Many farmers have switched their businesses over to vegan-friendly businesses, vegan-friendly farms, just from communications, not necessarily from activism, right? Even though I guess it kind of is activism if you're going to go talk, but you get my point. Protest is not the only way to make change. We can also go down, sit down, have a tea or a coffee and say, listen, here's what the problem is. And you can not listen to me if you don't want to, but this is what the vegans said. This is why vegans have a problem with it. And here are your options if you want to change, right? I would happily do that with these guys. And like I said, I think I'll try and do it when I'm next in the UK.
And rile themselves up as victims. She did say they scare her kids. Her kids were like, what if they come after us? And she said, well, the good thing is if they come after us, they're not going to hurt the animals, but they might hurt us. And so,
but we're going to hurt the animals. That's wild, isn't it? I don't know. My God. It's, at least the vegans, when they come, they won't do anything to the animals. So that's really good for us because then we can hurt them and sell their bodies off. So at least we're safe there.
Close the gate in the morning and hope for the best. There's the conundrum is that they're comfortable threatening people, but they would be fine to the goats.
I don't get where this threat is coming from. I mean, they've not shown any examples of threatening comments. It's just been review bombing and saying this place abuses animals. Has there been a threat sent to these people? The kids are scared because they're getting a lot of heat. Okay. That's not great that kids are brought into this, but maybe just keep your kids off the internet. That could be a solution, right? Maybe don't expose your kids to all the reviews and things like that. I don't know. Maybe it's a good idea to limit what your kids see or don't see online. Hey, bit of common sense goes a long way. Then they won't be scared, will they? Or you could just tell them the internet's a scary place. But at the end of the day, we're not going to stop speaking up for innocent animals who are being killed, abused and killed because some kids might be a little bit upset about us speaking up for animals. That doesn't make any sense, right? So yeah, trying to appeal to the emotions of the viewers here with that, but it is what it is. It's the parents' fault for letting their kids see it, honestly.
I think somebody needs to educate them and help them realize that humans are animals. You know what I mean? Like,
right. You should treat humans like you want animals to be treated or better.
Exactly, huh? Right. You should treat humans like you want animals to be treated or better. Why don't we flip that on its head? You should treat animals as you would want to be treated or better. You yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that you give animals the right to get a driving license or to go to university or get a job or become a CEO. No, that's not what it means. It means you value your life. You don't want to be imprisoned or have someone shove their arms inside you or have someone tugging at your breasts when you're pregnant or when you've just had a baby or even making you have a baby that you don't want to have. You don't want anyone to do that to you. You certainly don't want somebody to take you by the collar and drag you into a slaughterhouse and kill you either, right? So don't do that to them or don't pay people to do that to them. It's pretty simple stuff, isn't it? And it's interesting that they're the ones who said this quote without realizing that also should work the other way, shouldn't it?
The Telegram reports that this is just one of many stunts by vegan activists lately. They posted this list. For instance, people who gave bad reviews to restaurants that don't have vegan or vegetarian options. When in the Isle of Wight, 3 vegan eateries on the island were closed as a result of not very much business. You can read the list by yourself. Now, again, I want to point out that veganism is not my nutritional philosophy, but I know there are plenty of peace-loving vegans who are live and let live, who would not do this kind of thing. But I think this demonstrates a way that a personal philosophy can hijack your mentality, and a lot like it happens with climate activists.
So, okay, first off, just talking about personal philosophies hijacking your mentality and live and let live vegans. Listen, a live and let live vegan basically somebody who doesn't care if other people abuse animals. Let's just put it plainly as that, right? Why is that a good thing to be? Would you have said the same thing for somebody who said, let's put it in a human context, right? Someone who says, listen, I'm not a woman abuser. I don't abuse women as a man. But I mean, live and let live, right? If somebody else wants to do it. What? Or you can keep it with animals if you want, if that's too uncomfortable for you. Personally, I like dogs. I wouldn't abuse dogs ever. I wouldn't breed them. I wouldn't milk them. I wouldn't kill them and eat their bodies. No, I wouldn't do that. But, I mean, if everyone do your own thing. You do you. If you want to abuse dogs, who am I to say? I'm live and let live. I'm a live and let live anti-dog abuse guy, right? So why is this celebrated when it comes to vegans? Why is it celebrated here when a vegan says, I'm against all animal abuse? And that's why I don't pay farmers to abuse any animals. I don't pay for dairy farmers to abuse cows. I don't pay for meat farmers to abuse cows, chickens, pigs. I don't pay for egg farmers to abuse chickens. I don't pay for any of that because I'm against animal abuse. And then she celebrates the ones who say, but you do you. Like, what? No, it's nothing to be celebrated. It's if it's just for the sake of not wanting conflict and just that they just don't want to be, it's kind of cowardly, to be totally honest. It's kind of soft. It's a pick me lifestyle. I don't want to rock the boat, even though it's for the right reasons. We need less of that. And we need more people who are willing to at least be confident and say, at the minimum, I'm a vegan because I'm against animal abuse. And I wish everybody else was too, honestly. I wish everybody else was vegan. I think that's important. That's the bare minimum. That's not even activism. But at least it's not saying, but I don't mind what you do, which is just pathetic, honestly. It's pathetic. What was the other thing she said? So, live and let live vegans. I lost myself in that train of thought.
Who would not do this kind of thing? But I think this demonstrates a way that a personal philosophy can hijack your mentality. And a lot,
right.
like
okay, a personal philosophy can hijack your mentality. So yes, it's first off, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a personal philosophy because actually it's a philosophy that directly impacts other animals and other beings. So it's not personal, is it? I suppose it depends how you define that. But the point is, it impacts others positively or negatively. Like what you just choose to eat and use and buy directly impacts animals. So these are not personal philosophies. These are impersonal philosophies. They are philosophies that it's life or death, right? That's like saying as somebody who is a murderer or not a murderer, there's a personal philosophy as whether you're for or against murder. It doesn't make any sense. It's not personal at all. It's absolutely, it affects negatively or positively a lot of people, right? So yeah, but anyway, how it can impact your mentality. A lot of vegans definitely go off the edge. I'll give her that, right? a lot of vegans go off and like lose their marbles a little bit, right? I've been there as well, to be honest. You get a bit jumbled up, you get a bit, I suppose, unproductively angry. And I say unproductively because it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be, because obviously if you're not looking properly if you're not angry, right? If you're not angry, you're not looking properly. But it has to be productive anger. Otherwise, it's completely useless and you're not going to help any animal, right? So a lot of vegans definitely cross that line into unproductive anger. And this is where you'll see people saying some really insanely harsh stuff online. Things that you're like, wow, okay, that's a lot. That's like unproductive. It's not going to help, I don't think. Yes, that happens. In this case, I don't think that's happening here. People just review bombing a business that abuses animals. I don't see that going over the edge. I've not seen what they said, but I don't think that's going off the edge or anything like that. So it's hard to know really without seeing what she's referring to. But yeah, but she's going to talk about climate activists now. Let's see what she says.
It happens with climate activists. We see that all the time, right? You can care about the planet, but when you're actually like hurting other people's way of life and so committed to victim mentality.
Wait, hurting other people's way of life. She's using these words like hurt and victim and stuff in a completely wrong way. You're not hurting somebody else's, you're not causing them harm by making them reconsider and choose different choices in the vegan sense, right? All you're saying as a vegan, choose this other product here. You'll get just as much pleasure out of it, right? And it'll be just as practical for you in most cases. Once you've switched up and got used to the new way of living, you'll be fine, right? But you're not going to be abusing animals anymore. How cool is that? It's not really harming them, is it, at all? And in the climate way, I suppose she's talking about blocking roads and stuff like that. That's a whole different conversation, but I don't know why are these things even together? Because the climate activists want something entirely different. They're talking about government change. We're talking about individual changes. We just want people to choose something different at the shop. It's a very, very different thing and for very different reasons. So I don't know why people always insist on doing this.
It's a whole other thing. You become addicted to the outrage and the moral superiority, and that helps no one. So here's a way, actually, you can help those goats.
Okay, let's see what she's going to say. But but first off, thank you, Vegan Slam. It says, thank you for the tip. Thank you. You're watching the goats while we're watching the goat. Thank you, dude. That's so nice. Thank you. And a big tip as well. Really appreciate it. Remember, guys, for those that weren't here earlier, that missed the beginning, I just want to let you know again, repeat what I said earlier. All the tips that you guys send through, all the money you guys send through, whether it's through Super Chat or Streamlabs, or whether you're a YouTube member, or you've signed up to be a YouTube member, or you've signed up to be a Patreon, it all goes towards what I'm doing here, what you see right now, which is important, obviously. We have our monthly Face to Facts. I've got about a year of outreach videos filmed. Okay, guys? Big reveal, big announcement. I did a lot of outreach over the past couple of weeks. Some of it got crazy, right? So I'm going to be editing all that and showing you that. It helps me fund that as well. And also, it helps fund this confidential project that I'm doing behind the scenes, which I want to clarify to all of you. The only purpose of this confidential project is to help animals, is an animal rights project. All the money that goes into it is specifically for that. And we won't get any money back from this project. This is a project that is literally just going to be investment with no return. Okay, there's almost no way to make money off this project. That's not why we're doing it. Okay, so when you fund me, you're funding a project that specifically and only focuses on animals. So this confidential project that I will tell you more about when I can, and you'll understand why it has to be confidential when I reveal it. Okay. So thank you to everybody who continues to tip and continues to support. I'm going to talk about this a lot more in the future because we are nearing a time. Let's just say the money is not an infinite thing for us. All right. We have limitations and we really do need your help to keep on doing what we're doing. So every penny that comes through right now is really, really important. And like, as I said, only goes to helping animals. So thank you for everybody who's already doing it. And thank you to everybody who will do it, who will join the Patreon or the YouTube members team to help on a more consistent basis, as well as everybody in the tips. And thank you, everybody. Oh, I can't wait to reveal to you all what we're doing, honestly. It sucks having to keep it secret, but soon, guys, soon. And you'll get it. So Where were we? What was she about to say? She was going to say, oh, how can you help the goats? She's about to tell us all, get ready, guys, buckle in. She's going to tell us how we can all help these goats. Here we go. Here we go.
And that helps no one. So here's a way, actually, you can help those goats if you care. This was published in 2021 on the BBC from the gourmet goat farmer. Here's what those goats need if you really do want to help them have a better life.
To give us midwives some peace of mind, we'd love to put some nice woolly jumpers on the kids that arrive to keep them nice and warm during these temperatures.
Okay, so knit them a sweater.
You want vegans? All right, I'm going to calm down. All right, let's not be hysterical, okay? Let's keep this. You want vegans to donate knitted jumpers or whatever, right? And clothing to a goat farm to keep the baby goats warm in the winter so that they grow and get fed and fattened up so that these farmers can milk them and then kill them. You want vegans to support all of that. Can you just screw your brain on for a second here? I mean, is this just them not understanding what vegans are about? Or is this... I mean, either way, whichever way you spin it, this is a bad look for a channel that prides itself on seeing through propaganda, isn't it? Not fully understanding what vegans are even about and making comments like this, like, here's how vegans can help these goats. By helping the farm, by donating to... We want the farm to stop. We want them to stop breeding goats. We want them to stop exploiting goats' bodies. We want them to stop killing them. We want it all to stop. Why would we help them continue? That is wild.
Give them your old sweater because it's going to be a cold winter. That's a way if you really care. It doesn't help if you just say crappy things on the internet. There are things you can do.
I would love it if all these vegans suddenly started knitting sweaters.
But what it's like, we would absolutely knit sweaters. Any vegan who can knit would absolutely knit sweaters for goats out of some kind of textile material, some synthesized kind of stuff, not wool, obviously, but only goats that live on sanctuaries, goats who have been rescued from farms like this, goats who will now be able to live out a life where they just get to be a goat and there's nothing else to it, with people who only want to look after them. They don't want anything back from them. They just want to give them a good life until their last days, and that's it. They're not going to breed them, not going to use any of their bodies for anything. Sanctuaries, rescue centers. We'll knit all day for those guys. Why would we knit for these guys? Why would we do that?
I don't think they can wear wool like that, right? You can't wear wool that comes from a goat if no animal products.
Not can't, it's won't.
So they don't have an extra wool sweater to give because they would have never had that. In the same way they can't have beeswax.
That's not true. Lots of vegans weren't vegan. So it's not that they never had wool. Of course, they could have had wool before. Lots of vegans do have old wool and leather clothing. And a lot of vegans choose to actually just get rid of them and give them away or get rid of them or whatever. And some vegans, especially with the wool and other fur items, they'll donate that to sanctuaries and shelters who have animals who could benefit from those things. So it is already something that vegans do. And what a weird comment, though, that vegans wouldn't have wool. They never would have had wool. Is that part of the misunderstanding? Does she think that all vegans were always vegan? I don't know. Weird.
Or honey.
Leather shoes.
Yeah. So I don't know. But you can maybe do a faux sweater or what have you.
Yeah, I guess you could knit with like some sort of a fake yarn, fake wool thing or whatever.
Right. Yeah. But whatever.
We could send them a redacted hoodie or something.
Yeah, that's not wool. We could knit one ourselves, I
knit
suppose.
A redacted hoodie.
But yeah, I think that's a better thing to do than just typing out your ire on a keyboard. Let us know what you think of this. And
Okay, I'll let you know what I think about it. I absolutely disagree that helping a farm to continue abusing animals is better than leaving bad reviews and publicly criticizing the farm for abusing animals. So yeah, I don't think helping them is a good idea. I think criticizing them is a better idea. So that's what I think. And I'm happy to come on there and have this discussion. Guys, if you want to help with this, by the way, if you want to get this out there, I'm pretty sure this Redacted is on Twitter and maybe Instagram as well. You could just, I don't know, you could tag them in and tell them this has happened and this video's happened. There'll be some clips and stuff as well. I don't know how open they are to having random people on. I don't know if they've ever had a vegan on, but let's see. I mean, they seem open here.
In the chat below.
Thank you so much for watching this
And
segment.
that's the end of it. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Hey, thank you, Veg90. Thank you for the tip, mate. Thank you and Annie for doing all you do for animals. Legend. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was wild, huh? And I've said it a couple times, but I'll say it again. These are people who pride themselves on being the ones who tell you the truth. The only ones who tell you the truth. Not only, they don't say that. But they definitely pride themselves on debunking narratives, right? They've been talking about other stuff, about like the pandemic. I think they've spoken about the war. They've spoken about all these different things. And I'm pretty sure they're going in pretty hard on some of this stuff too, you know, like, so, but to just like any other, just like everyone else in the world, intellectuals all the way down to freedom people, I suppose you call them freedom fighters. I don't know. What do they call them? Freedom movement people who claim to be all about the logic, facts over feelings, like Give Shapiro's and stuff like that. They all fall into that same trap when it comes to talking about vegans. It's very unusual and strange. It's always disappointing. It always sucks. How are you guys doing so far? How are you feeling? Let me know in the chat right now. Give me thumbs up in the chat. Thumbs up in the chat if you're having a good time. And if, I don't know actually what I was going to say. Just if you're having a good time, thumbs up in the chat. Give me thumbs up so I can see. I will reach out to Redacted and with these clips and I'll try and get on the channel. That's all I've really got to say about those guys. I mean, I said everything I wanted to say during the video. Defending farmers, hey. I suppose with these, I mean, I suppose if I was going to be if I was going to speculate on this, I'd say maybe their main audience is conservatives, right? And conservatives are all about defending farmers, animal farmers. They're all about, they've got this idea that meat is going to be illegal, right? That it's the left wants to take all our meat off us and they don't want us to eat animals. They want us all to be vegan and feminine men and blah, 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 blah. They got all this. So maybe they're trying to appeal to all of that because their core audience is most likely, a lot of them will be conservatives. And that stuff is really silly because, you know, this idea that the left wants you to all be vegan, the left wants you to all... The left, as in political left, which is, you know, in USA it means one thing, and in other countries it means another thing. The progressives, let's call them, the hardcore progressives, most of them aren't vegan. And most of them are not pushing veganism either. Most of them, all they're pushing is to people to reduce meat consumption. At best, that's what they're pushing. Like, at worst, they push nothing. They don't even talk about diet stuff. They just talk about racism and misogyny and stuff like that. Like, that's what most of progressives are focused on, human rights issues. So the idea that this, like, oh, it's us versus the progressives, they want us all vegan, it's just nonsense. It's just not true. You know, then they talk about the World Economic Forum, right? Which is this group that is trying to implement lots of, let's call it interesting structures and systems and restrictions on people. And they say that this group, they want to promote veganism. They want to make everybody vegan. Those guys don't even want to promote veganism. Those guys don't want everybody vegan. They're promoting crickets and insect proteins. There's nothing to do with veganism whatsoever. Screw those guys. I'm not behind those guys at all. Neither should you guys. You guys shouldn't be behind them either. They don't care about animals. They don't care about animals at all. They don't even care about people. It's all pretend. It's all about power. So, you know, don't get behind those guys. Vegans aren't behind those guys. And thalso these bug bars, right? They're actually in shops. I was in a shop the other day and there was a cricket bar, like crickets, like as in the bugs. And here's the funny, I've got a video. I'm going to put out a short about it, right? So the cricket bar was called the challenge bar, and it was like, do you dare to eat this, right? Like a, like a protein bar, right? And then there was another bar next to it that was called something like the girly bar or something like that, right? And they were the same brand, by the way, same company. And the girly bar had 15 grams of protein, I think it was, and the cricket bar had 9. So it's like, wait a minute. You're trying to sell this bar with insects in it, insect protein in it, as like the challenge bar, which is clearly directed at men, let's be honest, because men can't turn down a challenge most of the time, right? It's a stupid competitive thing that we have. And some women have it too, but it's mostly men. So they're trying to aim that one at men, but it has less protein than the one they're aiming at women. And it has bugs in it. So it's like, wait a minute. The one that they're aiming at women had like all plant-based proteins and had more of them. And the one that had the bugs had less. I was just like, this is wild right now. So they're trying to get people to eat that, and they're not even. I don't know, guys. I just don't know anymore with all this bugs and stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, we're not behind that. Let's be clear here. There's no vegan on Earth, actual vegan on Earth wants people to eat bugs. We need to establish that very strongly, because a lot of people are misunderstanding what vegans even bloody want. We just want people to eat plant-based food and leave animals alone, including bugs, right? So that's it. Shall we get on to another video, guys? Oh, I don't know if you could hear the dog, but she said, yes. Emma was like, yes. Another video. So this one is quite interesting. I'll show you in a moment. Just going to get it ready to go. So we've got this, the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. This is who we're going to take a look at. Here you go. And they made a video called Islamic Privilege. Now, these guys have got 361,000 subs, but I don't think this is their main channel. I'm pretty sure they have more overall following across their channels than this. So, but, okay, there's no description about this one, but yeah, but basically I've watched a lot of the video. They're just going on about how in the UK, I think specifically, Islam has specific privileges, that Muslims have specific privileges that other people don't get or don't have. And they're calling it out. And one of the privileges directly involves animals. So let's have a look at what they're saying.
Another thing that's worth mentioning as well is that there are exceptions for the humane treatment of animals. This is something that I care about. I mean, I'm not a vegetarian or anything, but if I buy meat, I make sure it's, organic, nice meat.
Free range.
Yes. You get good quality. You get what you pay
better
for.
if it's been treated well in its life.
Exactly. And
I mean, geez, guys. So we start off with animal welfare, humane. This is something I care about. And then, yep, I care about it. I'm not a vegetarian or anything. All right, well, so you don't care that much then. Let's just say it how it is. You don't care that much, right? If at all. I'd say not at all. And I try to go for organic, free range. And then the other guy follows it up with, it tastes better if the animal had a good life. So wait, is that what you mean by care? Are we defining care as I care because it tastes better, or do you actually care about animals? Interesting start.
And you can eat it without any guilt because you're like, it had a reasonably good life. It wasn't in a factory farm. It's fine. So
you can eat without any guilt because they had a reasonably good life and they weren't in a factory farm. I like that this guy says that there is some guilt there. This guy is clearly battling with his conscience here. I reckon he's heard some vegans or seen some vegan stuff and he's battling with his conscience. The fact that he had guilt before is good, but there's still some guilt now. And yeah, the word reasonably, Jordan mentions the reasonably good life. Okay, let's say for argument's sake, let's steelman it, right? That, okay, yeah, maybe they did have a reasonably good life. Like they spent most of their life in a field. And the only bad thing that happens to them was at the end of their life, right? When someone killed them. Let's break that down for a second. What do you think is the most terrifying thing that could happen to you? What is the most terrifying thing that could ever happen to you? I think we all know the answer to it. The most terrifying thing that any human could go through is dying, or being at the brink of death, as in either dying of sickness, or someone holding a gun to your head, or someone holding a knife to your throat, or someone in some way having your life on the line, right? That's the most terrifying thing anyone could go through. So to just take the idea of an animal being killed and say, well, they had a reasonably good life, without considering the sheer terror, panic, just imagine what they must have gone through when they got to a slaughterhouse. Most animals that go in a slaughterhouse, they have heightened senses that we don't. Their hearing and their smell, pretty sensitive. They can hear all the other animals. They can hear all the machinery. They can smell blood, and they can smell the guts, by the way, because blood has a specific smell. If you've ever been in one of these places, you know what it smells like. The butcher's gives you some element of what it smells like. But when you go into one of these places, obviously, you've got the smell of the other organs that you wouldn't get in a butcher's, and they smell potently as well. So they smell that. They're terrified because they feel fear. I don't know if that was news to anybody, but of course they feel fear. They don't know what's going on. It's a new place they've never been to. So they're scared. They don't understand. They've got the mentality. They've got the cognitive ability, the understanding of the world as the same as children. The same understanding of the world as children, as small children. New place, uncomfortable, not sure what's going on, just lots of noises. Someone's prodding them with an electric prod, most likely to make them move forward because they're terrified and they don't want to go forward because they can smell and hear what's in front of them. They don't want to go into this place, but they get prodded and forced into this place. And they go through, they get forced, if they're a cow, they get forced into a big metal box. And then someone will lean over with a bolt gun and shoot them in their head. And then they'll be tipped out of that and they'll have their throat slit. What does it matter what happened before that? What does it matter if they had a reasonably good life or not? You have just paid for someone to have the most terrifying thing that anyone could possibly go through happen to them. You just paid for all this to happen. Something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Something you wouldn't wish on any animal on earth. But you pay for it and you're ignorant to it because you want meat. That's how this all operates. I'm going to repeat that last bit. You wouldn't go in this place and wish that on any human or any animal. I guarantee you would never wish that on anyone because it's so horrific. But you will be happy to pay for it so long as you can pretend it's not happening and so long as you get meat, because burgers bring you some kind of pleasure. Is that how it works? Is that what we're talking about? Come on, guys.
So, I'm not being some weirdo hypocrite here, but here we have the RSPCA talking about...
Hold up. I'm not trying to be some weirdo hypocrite here. You said it, mate. I think this is the guy. He's got a conscience, and his conscience is showing through. It's projection. I'm not trying to be a weird hypocrite here. I don't feel guilty. You do feel guilty, and you know you're being a hypocrite here. I'm not calling you a hypocrite. I'm saying you called it out that you don't want to seem like a hypocrite. I'm saying you seem like a hypocrite because it is hypocritical to say you care about welfare, and now you're about to criticize Islam. You're about to criticize Islam when you pay for similar things to happen to animals with just one minor difference. The animals you pay to go through all of that horror, they get electrocuted or shot first. The animals they pay to go through this horror don't get that first. It's not a big difference.
Means of slaughtering animals in Islam. So it says current UK law requires animals to be stunned before slaughter so they don't feel pain. However, exemptions are allowed that permit non-stun slaughter for religious purposes, i.e. Muslim and Jewish communities. And yeah, I think that stunning an animal so it doesn't feel pain is a good idea. And I think that if you don't do that, you're a barbarous monster.
Stunning an animal so they don't feel pain is a good idea. And if you don't do that, you're a barbarous monster. How about, mate, not stunning them and not killing them? I think that people who pay people to stun and to shoot animals in the head or electrocute them and then kill them by cutting their throat, I think they're barbarous monsters. Would you not agree? Is it not barbarous to do that for a burger when you could just literally eat, if you feel like it, some kind of fancy meat style vegan burger, or if you want to be healthy, just eat some kind of vegetable burger with the same kind of seasonings and the same kind of stuff, toppings and things like that. Like, I think it's barbarous, no, to do that to an animal for the sake of something you just want to taste. And I think this guy would agree. Or is this just some kind of anti-Islam thing and you're dressing it up as a pretend care for animals? Could be that. So far, though, I'm not getting that vibe. I get the vibe the guy actually cares about animals in some way, some weird, kind of demented way. Cares enough to stun them first by shooting them or electrocuting them, but not enough to just not do that to them. That's barbarous.
You are inflicting unnecessary pain. We have the technology, the means to make sure that they aren't in pain when they're killed.
You're inflicting unnecessary pain. We have the technology and the means to make sure they're having no pain when they're killed. We have the technology and the means so that you don't even have to put them in those places. We have the means to live and be very healthy as you want to be, with plants, with plant foods, with vegan food. So yeah, it's totally unnecessary. All of it's unnecessary, halal or not. That's why vegans are vegan, dude.
And you're just going to be like, no, my stupid book says that I've got to cut its throat and let it bleed out.
You're just going to say, no, my stupid desire for burgers means I'm going to pay someone to shoot them in the head and then slit their throat and let them bleed out. It's really, you're doing what they're doing with one extra step. And in your case, it's not for a book, but it's for your own selfish desires. Right? At least in their case, I don't agree with with halal killing, obviously. But at least in their case, they're doing it because they think God wants them to. In your case, you're just doing it because you like burgers. If anyone's got a better justification, neither of them are a justification, by the way, but if anyone's got a better one, it's the ones who are doing it because they think their almighty God made them do it. What's your excuse? I like meat. Come on. But like I said, either way, neither is justified. Neither is right. Let's make that 100% clear.
We're not just stewards of the landscape in England, we're stewards of these beautiful animals. And part of that responsibility means not causing unnecessary suffering to them.
Man, this guy's a vegan now. What is that? Dude, 5 minutes ago, not even 5 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, you were saying they taste better if they had a good life. Now you're talking about how we should be stewards for these beautiful animals. Dude, you want them dead. You want them to have a good life, and then you want them to have the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone happen to them because you want to taste their bodies. You want to eat their muscles or whatever with some fat. And dude, what? Really? This guy is literally a vegan. That is crazy. I mean, in that sentence, in that specific sentence, I want to listen to that back. Let's just get that back.
Beautiful animals and
bleed out.
I mean, we're not just stewards of the landscape in England, we're stewards of these beautiful animals. And part of that responsibility means not causing unnecessary suffering to them.
I couldn't agree more, man. Honestly, that's wild. So, like, these two are vegans in disguise. Okay, vegans in the closet vegans, right? You gotta be. That's wild to me. I really hope they both see this and this is join some, because what could happen here? Excuse me. For everybody who watches this video, whether these guys watch the video from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters or the Redacted guys watch this video, there's two ways it could go. They could be like, this guy's making sense. I don't think I've been irrational. I've tried to tone down my craziness for today and tried to be more just, try to be straight down the line. I don't think I've said one swear word yet. I've not made any controversial comparisons, I don't think yet, or anything like that. I've tried to keep it on the straight and narrow, right? So they could watch and they could be like, this makes sense. This guy speaks sense. And this is some good stuff I didn't think about. Or they could go, oh, it's so extreme. And then they're going to pick out some things that I said that and get offended and use that as an excuse not to listen and then go full anti-vegan. That's the only two roads to go down from here. Now, these guys seem pretty calm and reasonable. The guys in the last video, they were Americans, so they were a bit more eccentric, let's say. It can be more tricky to deal with. But these guys seem to be easier to deal with, at least. Seem like more able to have a calm discussion. It seems to make sense to me that these two would be vegans in the closet.
Yes, and I know it's a bit wishy-washy for Lotus Eaters, but it's still important. And yes, I care about animals. I think everyone else should do. I mean,
Agree.
I might not be a Christian, but the biblical notion of stewardship over the land, I think, is a very powerful one and a very good, compelling case. And I think we should all embody that mindset.
I couldn't agree more. That is an incredible quote right there. I've said this, I've had a couple of discussions with Christians recently, and I said this exact thing to them. I said that in the Bible, it's about being a steward to the land, a steward to these other animals. And yet it also says that you have permission to whatever, kill them and things. But it also says you should be a steward to them. So in my book, in my eyes, that means if you don't have to do that to them, you shouldn't do that to them, right? It's saying that if you need to do it, you should do it because you need to survive or whatever. I think that's pretty much clear. But being a caretaker means you want to avoid that as far as possible, don't you? I agree with this guy. He's not a Christian. I'm not a Christian either. But I am also very, I'm into that part of the Bible too. I think that's a good part of Christianity. So I agree with him. That's why I'm vegan. That's why these guys should be vegan too.
So, another thing that's worth mentioning is the 2021 census. And
That's it. We're clear with that video. Man, these guys really sounded like vegans a couple of times in that video. Hey, Cliff, thank you so much for the super chat, dude, for the tip. I support Annie and your amazing and tireless work for the animals. Thank you, son. Thank you, son. I think was it. Thank you so much, man. But like, so much, man, ended up being one word. Thank you, son. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, these guys are vegans in disguise, vegans in the closet. I hope that they watch the clip that I'll make from this, and I hope they will realize that they are vegans. They literally sounded more vegan than some vegans I know. I've heard vegans. I wasn't going to say here. That wasn't going to be as cool as I wanted it to be. They made better vegan quotes than some vegans I know. That's what I wanted to say. Right? If you took their clips out and put them out there, people would be like, all the vegans would be like, oh my, these guys, wow. Speaking truth to power. Love that. Yes. Vegan. And then they'd have to come out and say, oh, we're not actually vegan, but, you know, we sound like vegans. But actually, yeah, we are just paying lip service to animals. Everyone's got the chance to change, though. These two could be, I mean, they're hardcore conservatives, right? I saw someone saying in the comments, that's a market that's not been tapped into. So here's another thing, right? Number one reason to go vegan is obviously to help animals and not to be part of the systems that just completely screw them in so many ways. So much violence, so horrible, so much abuse. That's the number one reason to be vegan. But in a business sense, I don't understand, or at least I do understand actually, but I'm surprised that there's not been any big, well-known conservative or conservative group or whatever that's doing YouTube and stuff, like a big audience, who has gone in and gone, we're vegans now, like we're real vegans too, not just diet stuff, right? I'm talking like actual vegans. That's a market that no one's tapped into. And it's an emerging market. To be able to go out at this from a conservative point of view and to discuss veganism as a conservative, as a libertarian or a conservative, right? That's huge. So many people would be blown away by that. That's fresh. It's innovative. It's a totally new thing. So from a business perspective, yes, it's a big risk, but that's what it is. It's life, isn't it? You take risks and some of them pay off, some of them don't. This one has a big potential of paying off because you'd be one of the only people doing it. You'd be one of the only major conservatives arguing for veganism and animal rights from a conservative perspective, because I just can't. I'm trying to think about it in my head. Is there anyone that even does that? Is there anyone coming at this from that side even a little bit? And I think, I mean, I wouldn't be considered to be a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. But I feel like I'm one of the only ones, with George actually, Carnism Debunked, I think, we're two of the only ones that have actually made vegan arguments from that perspective. And there's also Sonia Say, she did it as well. But we're small fry compared to these big accounts with 500,000, 2 million subs. So there's a huge opportunity there because there are loads of conservative, there are loads of reasons for a conservative, politically conservative person to be vegan. They believe in conserving the land, stewardship of animals. You heard what these guys said. They don't believe in, they're against degeneracy of society. And degeneracy includes animal abuse. Animal abuse is degenerate. Degenerates do that. They want a society which is with lots of rules, right? How do I put this? Like they want people to act accordingly. They want people, I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to like straw man conservatives, but the point is there are lots of reasons that for a conservative to be vegan. It aligns in a lot of ways. So it's a big opportunity for some of these people. Yeah. Maybe we can get somebody on, some conservative who cares about animals but isn't vegan, and have them explain why and see if we can change their mind. You know? I would have somebody on to do that. I don't think I've ever had anybody on who fits that bill, to be honest. Not really, I don't think. I suppose Charlie Veach would count. I don't know if he's like an anarchist, though. I don't think he would consider himself conservative. Dave, thanks for the super chat, mate. Appreciate it. Annie and David, really value your work. Can't wait for the special project. Hey, thank you, mate. Appreciate it. I can't wait to share it with you guys, too. Thank you. All right. Let's have a look at some stuff then. What have I got for you guys? I got 2 more videos to have a look at. So that'll be fun. Let's show this as well before we move on to the videos. I want to take a look at this with you guys. Check this shit out, right? So I was looking for some stories for the Face the Facts Friday video. For those that don't know, I don't know who's here, who's a regular or not. But every month, once a month, I do a Face the Facts Friday video, which basically is a vegan news roundup of different stuff going on in the world that's relevant for animals, vegans, and veganism. And this month is almost ready. I've been editing it. It's got some pretty interesting stuff, some pretty funny stuff too. So I hope you'll enjoy it. And one of the stories that I didn't make the cut was this one. Check this out, right? Look at this. I got this from What Poultry. This is an animal ag website. So I get emails from these guys. I've signed up to their mailing list. Darkling beetles, an economic threat to poultry producers, right? I didn't include this because it's more a story to just kind of mention. There's not really much to it, but check this out. If the industry could determine the economic impact darkling beetles present to producers, it'll be one step closer to eliminating them. Darkling beetles, you might be asking, what are they? Okay, well, that's them. Lovely, right? But what are they? And how do they affect birds in the animal agriculture? Well, now, to all the conservatives who have been watching the stream with the other guys, looking at the video reactions, and why do vegans have a problem? We talked about the killing, we talked about the violence, but now we can go a little bit deeper into some details of just how messed up these places are. Look at this. Darkling beetles can remain inside a broiler's gut and decrease the amount of feed a bird can consume, impacting nutrition and reducing weight gain. So these bugs, they sit inside the stomachs of turkeys and chickens, and they're eating the chicken and turkey's food and reducing their nutrition. So the industry's got a problem here because they're wasting money buying bird feed for these animals that the animals can't even digest because these bugs are so prevalent. Now, here's where it gets crazy, right? This is what this article's about. There are at least 1 million darkling beetles, including the, I don't know how to say that. Why don't I know how to say that word? Pupa? Larva, we'll call it larva, all right? In every broiler house, in every chicken house, broiler chicken house, there is currently no way to completely eradicate them. Now, I need to say that again, all right? In every chicken farm, right, broiler chickens, the big ones, there are 1 million of these beetles. 1 million, at least, in every one of these places, and they can't get rid of them. These are the places where the animals are living. These are the places where they're born into, they get bigger in there, and then eventually, after some, not even that long, couple of months, they get taken off to a slaughterhouse and killed, and they have these bugs in their stomachs in the slaughterhouse. They have these bugs in their stomachs from their entire time in the farms. These things, and they cannot get rid of them. This just look, it is impossible, no way to completely eradicate them. And that's a professor at a university on this, right? Now they've been taught they go on to discuss other stuff about these bugs. Look at this. Even if we could completely eradicate darkling beetles in one house and populate them in another, the darkling beetles would not only be the only thing impacting the economic success of that flock, not to mention the food safety impact that darkling beetles have due to carrying salmonella. You get that, guys? They carry salmonella. They also serve as an intermediate host and vector of several pathogens and parasites that affect birds. And salmonella is one of them. Not only can salmonella be carried in these beetles, but it can reproduce in them. So they are perpetuating the infection and increasing the risk of transmission to other birds and humans. These things, guys, can you even just get your head around this? Because they have an indigestible exoskeleton, they remain inside a broiler's gut, a broiler chicken's gut, and decrease the amount of feed the bird can consume, which decreases the nutrition and the weight gain, right? And then they're talking about the economic loss of it. Yeah, because that's all they care about, the bottom line, guys. This is an industry website. They don't care about animals. One of the biggest problems is when the larvae get ready to pupate or develop from larvae into adult darkling beetles. They create a pupal chamber in the habitat. This habitat could be under the caked portions of the litter or in the cracks and crevices of the walls of the poultry house. So these things, where they're breeding, it's in, oh God, it's in, I guess when they say litter, they mean the shit, I think. So they're growing in the shit. And they're in the cracks and crevices of the bricks of the walls of the place. Oh my God. It's absolutely wild. And they're talking about trying to use insecticide, which is, oh yeah, you know, just pump more chemicals into these places with the animals, right? That'll do it. You know, as if the antibiotics and all that shit isn't enough. Now they're going to pump some of this stuff in there as well. Absolutely disgusting. You know, so this is what's going on in these places. Yeah, this is just one example. I see a lot of stuff like this on this website, and I'll start reporting it here with you guys if you're interested. If you want to see what's going on in these industries on a more regular basis, stuff that's not really suitable for Face to Facts Friday, but we can do it on stream like this. So that's just a flavor, just a taste of what's going on in your average chicken or turkey farm. This kind of stuff, infestations, you know, but people turn their nose up. They turn their nose up at lab meat. They turn their nose up at a vegan burger or a bean burger, and they say, "Oh, but they're making this cultured meat in a clean laboratory, in a hygienic laboratory where people have got to wear like lab coats and they've got to disinfect everything and they've got to wear masks and glasses and all, you know, all goggles and whatnot." Yeah, those places are disgusting and they're the labs are the problem. But hey, these beetle-ridden farmhouses with chickens dying of injuries on their faces and full of diseases like bird flu, or right now the swine flu going around with the pigs, and all the different things that they have to pump them full of antibiotics to stop them from getting sick and dying before they get to the slaughterhouse to be killed. Yeah, all of that is fine. But hey, if it's made in a lab, if someone's cultured something out of soy protein or something, no, that's wrong. We're not going to touch that. That's disgusting. Ew. Really, guys? Really? Come on now. Let's not be silly, huh? But that's what people do. This is the way people go. It's so strange. And it's also part of, this is the thing with in the same theme as these people that we were reacting to earlier, these channels, they're all about debunking the mainstream narratives and seeing through the nonsense. And it's like, yeah, the nonsense that's put out there about lab meat, a lot of it is scaremongering. It's fear tactics, because they want people to think that lab meat and lab-made products, factory-made products that are using plants, they want people to think it's all disgusting, while hiding stuff like these beetles and these birds' stomachs, while hiding the amount of antibiotic treatment animals need in farms so that they don't die of some random virus or disease before they make it out to a slaughterhouse. They hide all of that. And this is part of the propaganda system. And trust me, the animal agriculture systems, they have a lot more experience and a lot more money to do this propaganda than the others, than the vegans. That's for sure. Just absolutely disgraceful. What are the stories that I want to cover? Oh, we can cover. Look at this one. This is pretty grim. I just need to find the story because I saw this on the Daily Mail, Daily Fail. I say this one's grim because it's a story. It's not necessarily about animals. This one, it's more of a silly story, some kind of like, I suppose you could call it entertainment. The Daily Mail doesn't really post anything but that, to be honest. They're not really journalists, are they? Okay, but here's what I saw. So check this out. I secretly bought my vegan son meat behind my wife's back. She flipped out when she discovered my secret and accused me of corrupting him. Married for 8 years, and they got a 12-year-old son. Wife went vegan and wanted the husband and son to follow along. Son began eating non-vegan food after feeling lonely and excluded with friends. So the dad went and bought this kid. So hold up, where is it? It's So we'll read this out. Hey, thank you, JP and Julia, legends. Always happy to support your work. You are a great voice for the animals and inspire vegans to get active. Let's all be a voice for the animals. Thank you. I do my best, and I agree. Let's all use our voices, guys. Let's not be live and let live, pick me vegans. Hey, let's be real live and let live, meaning live and let animals live vegans. That's what we need to be. Thank you, guys. So I'll read this out here. I'm 32 and my wife is 33. We have been married for 8 years and have a 12-year-old together. About 6 years ago, my wife went vegan. She was sent the documentary Dominion by a friend of hers, and ever since has said non-vegan food is revolting and refuses to eat it. Based. After a long conversation, I agreed to go vegetarian and be vegan in the house and around her, which she was happy with. She also decided our son should be vegan, which after seeing a dietitian, I also agreed with. Okay. That's cool that they went to see a dietitian and got confirmation. Because it's absolutely fine for any age to be vegan and plant-based. Eating plant-based. Excuse me. Things have been fine with this arrangement until a few months ago when I began finding wrappers from non-vegan candy and even burgers from McDonald's in my son's school bag, which he had been buying with chore money. I had a conversation with my son and he confessed he felt lonely and excluded eating vegan around his friends and that they always had much better candy than he did, and it wasn't fair. I decided I didn't want him spending his pocket money on snacks and throwing out the vegan snacks we actually bought him instead of buying games, etc. It made no sense, but I also know the way my wife feels about non-vegan products, so I began buying my son what he wanted on our way to football practice instead. Long story short, wife found out what's been going on, completely flipped out, called me an animal abuser, enabler, and a few other names, and said I was corrupting our son. Now she's not speaking to me. Our son panicked and told her I had bought the snacks for him and he didn't know they weren't vegan. I don't blame him for that. He just doesn't want to be in trouble with mum. Am I the asshole here? All right, let's get into that. So I'll be honest with you guys. I read the title of this story. I didn't actually read what happened. So at first I thought this guy is an asshole. After reading this, seems like he just doesn't, like he's not an asshole for what he's done. He's not been convinced. He's not vegan, right? So the only way that he's an asshole is by not, like, he's not sinned dominion himself. He's not made the connection. Whether that makes him an asshole or not is another thing. It's complicated because with kids, I guess he doesn't know how to handle the kid, right? So I'm trying to be, like, you've got to be reasonable about this. The kid is the one who's gone out behind their backs. He's tried to sort it out and kind of be the middle ground, and it's all gone tits up. What they've not done here, what him and the son have messed up on, is by not having a conversation with the mum. This is what's important. You've got to talk about these things. And what the mum has messed up on here is she's not properly, I guess, discussed this with them both about why it's important to be vegan. It doesn't seem like they fully understood it. The kid at 12 can see videos, Dominion clips, and make a connection. Like, if you just go vegan after seeing Dominion and then you try to tell your husband and son to go vegan without them actually making the same connection you have, it's always going to go tits up. I don't think that they're assholes for that. I think that's more a case, like, for example, not every meat eater in the world isn't an asshole because they haven't made that switch yet. If they don't know, they don't know. It's hard to call them assholes if they don't know. So that's why we do what we do. That's why we're activists, because we make sure they do know. In this case, do they know? Does this husband and son, do they actually know why they're vegan? Doesn't seem like it to me. It doesn't seem like they actually know what the reason is for them to be vegan. So, asshole, no, I don't think. Animal abusers, obviously, yes, because that's what they're paying for. Regardless of whether you know you're doing it or not, you are paying for it. So, by definition, that's what you are. At least you're an animal abuse funder, right? That's for sure, because that's just the way it is, right? So yeah, these guys. So my solution here, if this person ever saw this video, I'd tell them, hey, the wife, I'd say, hey, you need to talk to them both properly, sit down, explain it, watch Dominion together. Even I'd go as far as that. 12 years old. People think 12-year-olds are completely. Oh no, they could never handle that. You'd screw them up. You'd I don't know, traumatize them. Well, I saw videos like that when I was 11, maybe 12, and I wasn't traumatized. I just knew that I never wanted to be responsible for what I saw in the videos. Okay, that's what I realized at that moment. All I knew was I don't care about Happy Meals. I don't care about sweets and stuff. I don't care about chicken dippers that everybody else gets, nuggets and stuff. If that's what it is that I saw on that PETA video back when I was a kid, I don't want it. I made that connection very early on because of that video, because of those images. I believe that a 12-year-old can handle that, especially as, listen, if you don't do it, then they're going to keep paying for it, or at least keep eating it without knowing what they're eating. So you got to just be honest with them and show them and say, hey, this is you like chickens as animals. You like animals, right? Don't you? You don't hate animals. You don't want animals to be harmed. They're innocent. They're defenseless. They've done nothing to you. I agree. Here, look at this video. This is what happens when you have a chicken burger. This is what happens when you have a Happy Meal. This is what happens when you eat in non-vegan sweets with like gelatin and stuff in them. This is what they're doing to animals for that. It's simple as that. Got to make that connection. So that's what I recommend to the wife of this scenario. And the husband, I would recommend be open-minded and be a leader and be a good partner to your wife. And actually, she's right. So put the effort in to understand why she's right. Make that change within yourself. Stop being selfish. And then team up together and influence your son positively. You can't make anyone do anything, but you can influence them, can't you? So, right? You can't force anyone to do anything. You can only influence them. Or if you're their parent, they get what they're given. They eat what they're given, right? But you can't stop them from doing stuff outside the house with food and things. It's tough, right? So, they might go out and do drugs and stuff. You can't do anything about it. All you can do is give them the best influence you can. Leah, I saw your comment just now. David and Annie, please interview Dr. Faraz Harsini on your channel. You met him at the AR conference. He just filed a lawsuit with his AV Houston co-founder for harassment and arrest. Interesting that you suggest that, because guess what? I already interviewed him. Oh yeah, I was one step ahead of you. So I interviewed him at the conference, in person, live. And it looks really fancy because we got a stage that wasn't being used, and we got to use the cool lights and stuff. And yeah, I've just not edited it yet. It will be coming soon. He's a legend, an inspirational guy. I really, really enjoyed his talk, and his story is like a real tearjerker. Like, wow, what a story he's had and is continuing to have. Love the guy. Absolutely love him. We're friends, and I hope we'll become even closer friends, because I'm just the biggest fan of this guy, honestly. Legend. So thank you for the suggestion, and I'm one step ahead of you. I can't wait to get that interview up. Thank you, Dilliam, for the tip, mate. We should stop calling it lab meat. Not only is it inaccurate because a lab is a research facility and the public doesn't consume products coming from a lab, it also has a negative connotation. Call it cultured meat, call animal meat. I'm not going to say that just for the sake of keeping YouTube happy. Yeah, cultured meat is fine. I guess clean. People have talked about clean meat. I know Faraz, actually, speaking of this, Faraz is a bio I can't remember what it was now. He's like a bioscientist, like a scientist working on cultured meats. And he also said the same thing, that they're trying to move away from lab meat because it has negative connotation and other things. And they're talking about clean meat as another alternative for it. And they're people are kind of working through that right now, actually. So cheers, Dillian. Good tip. Good tip. It's important. So yeah, that was that story. I think we dealt with that interpersonal thing. Somebody asked in the comments there, like, why is an interpersonal relationship thing making headlines? It's the Daily Fail. This is what they do. They're a terrible organization, and they just really scrape the bottom of the barrel, honestly. But hey, it's entertainment for us, isn't it? When we can chat about stuff like that and give our opinions and stuff. What else do we got here? Oh yeah, let's do this story before we finish on a couple of videos. Got a little bit longer to go. Don't worry, don't go anywhere. We're not finished yet. This one's going to ruffle some feathers, or should I say, ruffle some fur. Because we're talking about cats, and look at this. Apparently there's a new study that says cats get health benefits from a plant-based diet. Oh my God. Owners who fed their pet a plant-based diet reported fewer visits to the vet and less medication use, apparently. Oh, it's bloody paywalled. Let me just hold up 1 second, guys. Let me just sort out this paywall. Okay. Paywall has been bypassed. Okay. So, cats are natural born killers, and for most of their evolutionary history of enjoy. Oh, this is just story. What's actually going on? Here we go. The study found that owners of cats fed vegan diets reported fewer visits to the vet, less medication use, and said their vet would be more likely to describe their cat as healthy. The findings provide reassurance to a growing number of owners who are considering alternative diets for their pets, the researchers said. Biologically, what cats need is not meat, but a specific set of nutrients, said this professor from the University of Winchester, who led the research. There's no scientific reason why you can't supply all the necessary nutrients through plant additives. Oh, damn. That's going to trigger some people, trigger some vegans too. I know some vegans who get really passionate about this on the other side of this argument, on this discussion, which I just don't get. If people are finding out that it can be done, why is that not something vegans want to get behind? Plant-based cats, if it can be done with them being healthy. Cats need a high-protein diet that includes certain nutrients like taurine, which are only found naturally in meat. However, these nutrients can be synthetically manufactured or sourced from specific plants and added into vegan food as supplements. In some cases, meat-based food also has to be supplemented because the nutrients can be destroyed during processing. You see? This is The Guardian, and this is a big publication, and they're putting this stuff out there. That's awesome. The same supplements are used for vegan food to make sure it's nutritionally sound. So the study is surveyed 1,369 cat owners. 9% of them reported feeding their cat a vegan diet. When asked about 22 health disorders, 42% of owners reported at least one disorder on the meat-based cats, compared with 37% on the vegan diets. So wait, this is only a self-reporting. So this is really in the hierarchy of evidence, right? Which is like, a triangle like this. Yeah, it goes down in terms of what's powerful. I can show it. Let me just show it. I don't know if you guys know about this. So let's just. I want to be really clear on this because it's important that I don't want to, tell you guys something that's not true or whatever, or like I want to be responsible. So can you guys see that? I guess you can, right? Okay. So you see here, the strongest evidence, meta-analysis, systematic reviews. I'm not going to say what each one of them is necessarily, but I'll just, controlled trials, randomized controlled trials, cohort studies, case control studies, cross-sectional studies, animal trials, case reports, opinion papers, and letters. So I guess I'm not super sciencey anymore. I used to be back when I was at uni, but it's been a while since I actually did any of these studies myself, or even fully immersed myself in this world. I leave other people to do that these days, more like Danny at Lifting Vegan Logic and Faraz, and I just ask them the questions, you know what I mean? Because their guys are still in this world. But I'm pretty sure this one would fall into the bottom one, the red one. Case reports, opinion papers, and letters, because This is I believe this would count as a case report, which means it's only an indication, right? So this is good information, but it's not something you can really base, like, you couldn't just tell people to go, hey, feed your cats plant-based because of this. That's not good enough. What you need to do is find actual studies where they look at cats and they run blood tests and stuff like that, which is animal testing, of course. But I suppose if it's people who are willingly taking their pets, their animals, to be tested to make sure they're healthy, then it's fine, right? And I think that's what you're going to need, really. And there have been studies that have been done on that, okay? That has actually been done. There's vet scientists, animal scientists, vets, and who have come out and said plant-based with the correct supplements is fine. But I'm just saying this one is not something to like base everything on. It's not very powerful, okay? It's only self-reporting. They're just saying, the reports. There's no actual. You're just trusting what people say, which is not good. It's not a good. It's not good evidence. All right, but it's a good. If we assume they're being honest, then it's good news anyway. The point is, if we assume they're being honest, people are saying they're feeding their cats plant-based, and it looks like they're healthier. Very cool indication. I hope they do more research into it and actually have some vegans who have cats who are feeding them that way. Maybe they could, the researchers can find them and request that they work together with the cats and allow them to run some tests and stuff like that to prove it. Because if those vegans who haven't feeding cats this way will work with researchers to prove beyond reasonable doubt that these cats are healthy and this can be done, then this only helps, doesn't it? The more studies that we have that show that, the better it's going to be for animals, because then we're not going to be killing loads of other animals to feed our cats, right? I've been asked about this before. What would I do if I, had to rescue a cat or something? I just simply wouldn't, personally. I don't recommend, because this is still a topic that, from what I've seen, is very divisive and not completely clear. There are good results, and some people have good results with the cats, with the plant-based, and I've also heard some bad stories where the people have had to go back to feeding the cat meat because it didn't work out. Not that they died, but they're just that they didn't want to eat it. They rejected it, and obviously they were starting to lose weight, so they say, no, I'm not gonna, things like that, right? So it's still a very, it's not great. I'd say if you're a vegan that already has a cat, please do try, because it's worth it to try and save animals, but just make sure you're observing the cat very closely and make sure that they don't end up suffering or anything. Like, you got to make sure you really, really watch them and observe them, and maybe even get them tested to make sure they're absorbing the nutrients. But if you don't have a cat currently and you have the opportunity to have a cat, I would highly recommend you find somebody else to have that cat, and you use your money, time, resources for animals that will never require any other animal to be killed in a slaughterhouse for them. That's what I think. Okay? That's my spicy hot take on that topic. All right, let's take a look at a couple of videos. Pretty light ones, to be honest with you. Pretty light videos. We got one, well, I don't know, light-ish. We got one from GMB. You guys remember Nathan McGovern? Nathan from Animal Rising. So basically, in the UK, and I don't know, it might be other places too, but in the UK, they've got something going on where they got these big campaigns to try and make universities go plant-based. They say go vegan, but it's not. They're trying to make them go plant-based, right? And it's a big deal over there. It's gaining some traction in the headlines and stuff. Actually, I've got a video coming out about this. This guy from GB News, super right-wing news channel, went on a 10-minute rant about these universities going vegan, with loads of misinformation about veganism, misinformation about vegan kids, misinformation about everything. So I actually recorded the whole thing, right? And then I was going to put it in the Face the Facts Friday, but it's just so long. It ended up being, the whole thing was about 11 minutes, 15 minutes. I tried to cut it down. I can't include an 11-minute story in a Face the Facts Friday. It would have made the video 30 minutes long. So I cut it out, and I'm going to post it separately on that, debunking this guy. But yeah, for now, we got this here. And they brought Nathan on from Animal Rising to debate with a farmer about vegan universities. And I'll tell you what happened. Nathan told me before they went on, apparently the producers tried to get them all riled up and he's like, yo, make sure you go at each other, and tried to get them all angry and stuff. And you can kind of see that Nathan didn't listen. And the other guy, you'll see how he is. He's very unreasonable.
Could students returning to university later this month find their campuses have banned meat from all the canteens? Over 600 academics want to see that happening, signing up to a letter calling on all universities to commit to 100% plant-based meals.
So, is it right to make universities go vegan? Joining us now is Nathan McGovern from the Plant-Based Universities campaign, who are part of the activist movement Animal Rising and have written this letter, and former National Farmers Union student ambassador Carl Franklin, who says you can't dictate what people consume in this way.
Isn't it funny, like, how when the farmers go on TV, they always look like farmers. They always like dress up. Like proper dress up for it. It's really funny. And I guess the producers tell them to do it. Look as farmery as you possibly can, right? They're probably advising them for it. It's funny.
Franklin, who says you can't dictate what people consume in this way. Good morning to both of you. Nathan, let's come to you first then. Why do you feel strongly that universities should do this? How much of a difference do you think it will make?
Well, I think we can all acknowledge that universities are sites of knowledge. You know, they provide us with so much knowledge about the climate crisis, our food system, and they have a duty to be acting on that research and on that knowledge. And what that research is telling us is that shifting to a plant-based food system is unequivocally a key solution to our climate and ecological crises. So what we're saying is, universities, let's step up, make these transitions to plant-based catering. You know, the way I see it, serving meat and dairy at a university is akin to serving cigarettes at a lung cancer conference.
So for those that are wondering why he's going down this route, from what I understand about this this whole thing, this whole plant-based universities, they're not doing this from an animal ethics perspective. And I think the reason is, with universities, I guess it doesn't work. I guess they realize that right now, climate and health, especially climate though, is a huge topic that most universities are like, that's where they're putting a lot of money in, climate stuff, right? Most universities have these big climate activism campaigns. They have lots of groups. They have lots of things going on in that world. And I think, although I know Nathan truly does believe plant-based diet is best for the climate, and I know a lot of vegans do truly believe that and fully back that, I do think also there's some element of tactics being used here as well, because they see that's an easy in. And as I say, I know that he's not just saying this to pay lip service to get his easy in. He does genuinely believe what he's saying, like the stuff that he's saying, he's fully behind. But for me, I focus on this, and I'm animal rights here, right? I'm not in this for to prevent for climate change reasons or for like health reasons. I'm in it for animal rights primarily. And first of all, only even. And anything else that I would consider has to come back to, okay, how is it going to, how is this going to help animals? So in this case, for this interview, he doesn't actually talk about animals. It's never brought back to animals at all. It's purely about the plant-based diet. So it shouldn't even be, is it time to make universities go vegan? It should be, is it time to make universities go plant-based? And that's what they're debating.
You're saying that everybody has a duty to be vegan?
No, what I'm saying is universities...
do we all have a duty to be vegan?
Do we have a duty to be vegan? I think that we should all be eating as sustainably as we possibly can.
So that wasn't an answer to the question. Do we all have a duty to be vegan?
Well, the science is, pointing us to the fact, we've got University of Oxford research, Harvard research coming out, almost weekly.
So students going to university who eat meat, the reason you're saying this is because you think we all have a duty to be vegan.
What I'm saying is that universities have a duty to act on the very research that they're providing. You would hardly see the NHS advertising cigarettes.
The question.
So I think what Nathan could have said here is anyone who can, should. Yes, that goes without saying. And what he's trying to point out, it links in with what he's saying. The universities themselves, they produce like studies, and they put these things out, these statements out. Oh, look look at what destroys the planet and look at what destroys our health. Universities are doing that, and then their own canteens are not responding to the research. That's what he's pointing out. It's like, if your research points this way, that this way of eating is better for the climate, better for the planet, and I guess these universities don't do too much research into animals, but if they did, they'd realize it's better for animals too. Why would your own canteen in the same establishment not be following your own advices and your own research? But he could have just answered the question as well, to be fair. To be fair to the host. The host is like a budget Piers Morgan.
A conference. No, I have answered the question, Ed.
Do we have a duty to be vegan?
I think we have a duty to eat as sustainably as we possibly can, and to be supporting British farmers, supporting local producers in a way that's a win for everyone.
OK, well, Carl, let's bring you in here then. So Nathan's saying it's a duty, it's key solution to the
Yeah, that's funny. He never actually said it, but they're just rolling with it. Yeah, that's what he said.
climate crisis. And he also says that those who do serve meat, it's akin to serving cigarettes, to giving people cigarettes.
Morning. Yes, that's ridiculous, to be honest. We need to be buying British, and that includes eating in beef and lamb from the British Isles. Beef and lamb makes our countryside look the way it does. The grass, 65% of British farmland is grass. Last time I checked, we can't eat grass. Cows and lambs, sheep can. So they're the best thing at producing.
What's hilarious is he's saying that what X% of the land is grass. So, what are we supposed to do? Oh, it's just there's all this grass, and the only thing we can do is these animals can eat it, and it's just there's so much grass. Yeah, that's funny, mate. Why is it all grass? Where else in the world are there just acres and acres and acres and acres of grass? There isn't anywhere in the world where it's naturally like that. Do you know why? That's the reason it's actually like that, is because you, farmers, cut down all of the forests so that you could have the land for animals, for your businesses. So it's, again, another example of farmers who create the problems, right? So, all the land is grass, and in some of these places we can't grow anything, and whatever. And it's because you did it. You did that to the land. The land was probably a lot more fertile and the biodiversity was probably insane before you came in and bulldozed it all. So, yeah, you're just benefiting from the problem that you created. There are alternatives to the problem you've created. And we have, obviously, what he's missing out on anyway is we have enough land to grow, enough land that can grow, food can be grown on, human food can be grown on to feed the whole world. So that's not an issue. But they always pretend as if it is an issue, as if like nothing else can be grown, only grass can be grown. That's it. So we just have to have these animals eating this grass. We have to. We have no choice. If we don't, then we're all going to die of starvation. No, that's not how it's going to go.
Sustainable and producing from the UK.
Nathan?
Well, I would actually love to, reach across this divide and say to Carl, we are 100% on the same side when we say that we should be supporting British farmers and British producers. But doing so whilst we have our current food system with an inadequate subsidy scheme based on animal products is doing that with one arm tied behind our back. What I'd love to see is our government and our universities step up to support British producers. And in fact, there's research polling of farmers in Scotland that have had the question posed to them, if the subsidy system was put in place to help you transition to plant-based production away from animal farming, the vast majority of farmers said that they would love to do that. 65%
of the farmland we have, because you can only grow grass on it. So what else are you going to produce there? You can't rip the grass out because the mountains of Wales, you can't grow anything else there but grass.
That's a really interesting
it's a really nice idea to just turn plant-based.
The reason
but you're going to have to import it from abroad
is unsuitable for, arable crops right now is the fact that sheep grazing in Wales, you mentioned especially, has decimated the land. We have terrestrial dead zones which are essentially devoid of biodiversity. Britain is in the bottom 10% of biodiverse countries.
Is Carl wrong morally to be a sheep farmer?
What I think is that Carl...
It's a shame they didn't let him continue on that point there, on the debunking of his point. But let's continue with this one.
Answer my question. I ask these really simple questions. Is Carl wrong morally to be a sheep farmer?
Well, we can argue about that all day. But what we can focus on...
What's the answer? Yes or no?
I don't think Carl is morally wrong to be a farmer at all. I think
Sheep farmer.
he takes great pride in what he does, is providing food. You know, all our food comes from farmers, and I'm actually immensely grateful to Carl as a representative of the farming community for that.
That was a smart, smart dodge. See, because I know some people might watch this, right, and think he is just throwing animals under the bus. They'll say that's bad. He's not defended animals here. He's not being like a good vegan or whatever. What he said there, if you pay attention, he said, is he immoral for being a sheep farmer? And Nathan said, I don't think he is immoral for being a farmer. I appreciate that he just wants to provide food to people. And as a representative of the farming community, I respect him for wanting that. So what he's done there is he's realized that farmers, by definition, are not immoral, bad people, because it's just what they have decided or who they have decided to farm that is the problem. If you can take someone like this Carl guy and say, hey, Carl, you're a farmer. That doesn't mean you don't need to be a sheep farmer. You could be a farmer of any plant that you choose or any product that doesn't come from animals. I respect you as a farmer. I respect you as somebody who wants to feed people. You take pride in farming and in creating produce. Can you just not do it off the back of a sentient animal, of a poor animal that has a family and friends and wants to live their life and doesn't want to be used and killed by you? That's it. That's the line, you see. So I think he's done a good job there to dodge the producer, the host's inflammatory question, which it is inflammatory. He's trying to get a fight going because he's a wanker. That's the first swear word of the day. Look at that. Hey, we should put 20p in the swear jar. So that's the first. That's the what he's going for. He wants a fight. He's not getting a fight because Nathan refuses to go down that road, and then this Carl guy is diffused. He can't do anything.
But what we also have to do is look at how are we producing food and how do we square the circle. For instance, you know, a kilogram of beef, and this is British beef, we're not talking anything imported from South America, for example, is an equivalent of driving about 60 miles in a car. A kilogram of lentils is about 2, and that's a startling difference.
We're running out of time, but final thoughts?
To buy British is really simple. They should be looking to source everything from the UK and not just claiming to go meat plant-based. It's a load of rubbish. You need to be buying British and supporting British farmers.
We have to wind it up there, I'm afraid.
He's not even engaging with what Nathan said. Nathan already said we should be trying to buy British. We should be trying to buy local, just plant-based. He said that very clearly. This guy fell for the producer's nonsense and getting him riled up and stuff, and that's why he's unreasonable and just repeats himself. He's just trying to have a fight, and there's no fight to be had. Nathan's not trying to fight. So I think Nathan went in here with the aim of not being goaded into a silly debate, not being goaded into calling him names or saying what this guy is or isn't in some kind of inflammatory way. What they wanted, GMB, they wanted another Joey moment where Joey fights with Piers Morgan, or, you know, some vegans come on and fight. They had all the time this kind of fights with Piers. But now I think a lot of vegans have wised up to it. And they realize that, yeah, this fights are good for entertainment. They're good for everybody to have a good laugh and kind of, but if you want to, as Nathan said, if you want to reach across the aisle and actually you're trying to engage with farmers, as he's now doing, obviously, he's trying to actually get farmers on the same side and mend some of the divide. You can't be going on TV and having a full-blown argument with the farmer, calling him immoral, calling him a this and a that, saying what he does is immoral and he should stop and you have a duty to not do that. And it's not going to help mend the... it's not going to help bridge the gap and actually put you in a position where you can convince them of anything. So Nathan has made a conscious decision here, or Animal Rising did, I don't know if it was him or them, to go in and not allow them to be like puppeted and treated like entertainment for the masses, which is smart. I mean, the entertainment side of things has its merits too. If you go on, and he's done this, Nathan went on and played bingo, vegan bingo with Piers Morgan, and that had its merit. That generated tens of millions of views across the entire world and made Piers look a bit of a numpty, you know? So that has its merits too. Here's the tactic they used today. He executed his tactic pretty well. Who's to say which one works better? One works better for views. This might work better for actually trying to engage with this farmer and build a relationship with him and his community. Depends on what your goal is, but I definitely am behind Nathan. I think he's a good guy, and I think he did a good job here. The only major advice I would give here is to please try to avoid using the term vegan when it's not about veganism. I would say, if that goes for everybody out there, if you're talking about what they're talking about here, you're talking about the plant-based diet and its impact on the climate. You're not talking about veganism. You're not talking about animal rights. So we need to make that distinction. When they say, should universities go vegan? You say, well, actually, it's not veganism we're talking about. Veganism is more of an ethical, moral standpoint. I'm coming at this from a plant-based for the planet standpoint. So I don't want to get into a moral discussion because that's not what I'm here for. This is a diet discussion where we're going to talk about health and we're going to talk about the environment. I think that would be really good to kick things off and establish. But aside from that, I think you did a pretty good job. I think he did a pretty good job, to be honest. Enjoyed that one. Let me know what you guys think, by the way. I am trying to track the comments. It's difficult. You guys having some good discussions in there. But let me know what you think. Do you think Nathan did a good job? Good job or bad job for Nathan on that one? Don't be too mean. He might read the comments. Let me know. The next clip I wanted to respond to with you guys actually is a pretty weird one. It's about selfies with animals. So basically, okay, let me bring the story up. Let's read the story first, and then we'll look at the clip, because this is a pretty interesting situation that's happened lately in the last week or so. I think it was. It's like a week ago. I see you guys talking about Nathan. Let's have a look. Good job. Good job. Good job. Almost good job. Good job. Cool. Yeah. Nice. I'm glad you guys are being nice. I like that you guys are being nice. Yeah, Nathan's a cool guy. He deserves your niceness. I met him at this conference recently, a couple of weeks back, and he's a good guy. Thank you for the super chats, Natasha. Super vegan tube outreach. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's popped up on the screen now. All right. Here's the story I want to show you here. Look at this. Baby horse falls off cliff trying to get away from people taking pictures. I'm not going to click the video. I don't know if it is the video of what happened, but this is in South Wales. And they've been telling people to refrain from taking selfies with animals after a horse fell to their death earlier this year. This is incredibly sad, obviously. That this is what a strange situation to happen, that someone's trying to get a selfie and the horse falls off the edge of a cliff. Like, really nasty, really sad. Now, what's happened off the back of that is PETA sent a representative onto, again, Good Morning Britain, to try to say that people should stop taking selfies with animals, full stop, as in it should be a thing that's just done, okay? And they had somebody on the other side who is arguing the opposite point, and this guy on the other side, by the way, I don't believe he's vegan, but he has, as far as I know, he's publicly supported Joey Carbstrong, and he is, yeah, like I said, not vegan, but definitely not anti-vegan. All right. So let's take a look at this and see the arguments for. And it's a weird topic. It's surprising this even gets on TV, to be honest. It's such a niche thing, like selfies with animals, but it's relevant. You know, if it could help animals, we need to consider it. So let's have a look.
Beauty spots have been warned not to take selfies with the ponies after a panicked foal fell to its death. Its tourists in Rossilly in Swansea spooked the animal trying to get the perfect shot, which forced it over the cliff.
Should we ban wild animal selfies as a result? Jennifer White from the animal rights group PETA says there is no need to get a wild animal on your Instagram. But Ryan Mark Parsons says selfies celebrate wildlife. Ryan, not when they're forcing newborn foals over the edge of cliffs. That is indefensible.
Well, I totally agree that's tragic, what happened to the pony in South West Wales. But how widespread is that issue? I mean, the fact it's been reported so widely in the press suggests that it is a very rare occasion.
Well, Freya the walrus was euthanised after people in Norway ignored warnings not to get too close to her. Tourists in New Zealand had a close call when they were trying to take selfies with sea lions over there. There's parks that we have, royal parks, that are full of deer in the UK. There's often close calls when people try and get too close to the deer.
And those examples you gave, when was that? When did that happen?
Last year was Freya the walrus. The warning on endangering deer at Richmond Park is all the time.
Right, OK.
Especially around the birthing season.
The rutting season.
So we have the example of the pony, and then we have an example you gave from last year. So that's not many.
So you say just carry on taking selfies with the wildlife because the newborn foal going off the edge of the cliff is a small price to pay.
Well, I just think it's...
Well, she's such a... Man, you know what's funny is the only one who has any right to even have this discussion is the vegan from PETA. As far as I know, none of the others are vegan. Listen to how much she's pretending to care about this while she is... I've seen her argue against vegans before. She cares about people taking selfies because it could possibly cause a problem for an animal, but she pays for animals to be sent into slaughterhouses so she can eat their bodies. Pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's about celebrating wildlife. I think you, Jennifer, maybe even you, Ben, I think you're being negative. Enjoy the wildlife. Celebrate the wildlife. I went to Santorini about 3 weeks ago. I saw these gorgeous donkeys, and I thought, you know what, it'd be great to take a picture. I put it on my Instagram. All of my followers loved it.
They're not wild animals, those donkeys. They're very much not wild animals, are they?
If I could just jump in, it's this narcissistic attitude towards animals that is leading to so much suffering because people are seeing them as a photo opportunity, as a plaything. But these are living beings who have their own needs and their own wants. And yet we are constantly seeing headlines where, you know, whether it's this poor pony, whether it's a baby shark or a starfish who's been dragged out of the water, you know, and for what? A social media post and some likes. It is so unnecessary and it has to stop.
Do you have this?
Yeah, she's got a point. It is... There is a problem with narcissism across the board with social media, not just when it comes to animals. Everybody's just looking for that next thing that's going to get them the likes and get them the shares and get them... And with vegans and with activism, of course, it's not an entirely selfish thing for us. Of course, there's a good feeling when one of your posts goes viral. It feels good, so it's not selfless, but it has a message. We're doing it for a specific reason. We're trying to get people to change and open minds and stuff like that. But without that, it's just purely narcissism. And as I said, not just for animals, but in general, people need to move away from this way. It's really sickening, actually. So I can get on board with that. But as more of a general term, to be honest with you, I don't really see a problem with taking pictures with animals. People need to be trained, or I suppose taught, that taking a photo with an animal is the same as taking a photo with a person. You've got to get permission. Now, you can't really do that with animals, and you've got to use your judgment. So, for example, if I wanted a photo with a person, imagine there's, I don't know, someone I like, someone famous, singer of a band that I'm really into, and they're really far away, and I can't, for whatever reason, I don't want to go over to them. If I was really far away from them and I took a selfie, and then I put an arrow and, oh, this is the guy from this band, it's not a problem. I've caused them no distraction or distress, or I've caused them no issue whatsoever. That's just something. If someone did that to me, like took a selfie from far away, now if I wouldn't care, but if someone came over to me and just literally did it in my face without asking me, I'm gonna get pissed off, distressed. If I did that to that other singer from the band, just walk over and do a selfie, he's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing, right? And you're in the personal space now, you're doing something, so it's a different. Now just apply that to animals and you're set. If you can't get their permission, which you can't, you've got to be very, very wary of their behavior. And as you get closer, if they're a wild animal, they are not going to be happy. Best thing you can do is stay far away and take your selfie from far away. If they are a domesticated animal, maybe someone's pet or something, then you've got more time to figure out, are they comfortable with me being close to them? And you can actually do what you would do with a human. You say, hello, could I take a selfie with you? Yes, you could. Okay, you don't understand English. You're an animal. You're a dog or whatever, or a pig or whichever animal. But I can talk to the person who looks after you. Like, okay, how do I know if they're comfortable? I mean, do they seem pretty cool? Are they cool? Because sometimes dogs look okay, but they're not okay, right? Some people don't know dog behavior. Dogs can seem like they're chill, but actually they're about to bite you, right? So you got to figure this stuff out. I think it's just simple stuff, you know?
Same feeling when you mentioned the starfish. Do you have the same feeling about anglers and fish?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Fish should be left in peace. You know, no animals should be losing their lives, and especially not for photos.
I just think that is so dramatic.
People need to back off, respect wildlife. There's so many ways you can appreciate animals without having to have your face in a photo with them. Turn on David Attenborough, watch a documentary.
But I think
she's totally right. And again, if I think as long as people are following that code of respecting the animal's personal space and the same way you would a person, be far away enough so it's not causing them an issue, I don't see a problem. But I also do get, she's right, you know, there are other ways to experience animals. You just watch documentary, you're going to get a way better quality image from that. And it's not the same as being there. It's not the same as living it. But again, you can be there and live it and get your photo, get a big zoom, get a decent camera, or even not that decent camera, get a medium to low level camera and spend your money on a big lens, one of those big fat lenses, then take your photos. You don't need to be in the photo. You can get some beautiful photos, and you were there, did it, I did it. That's so cool. Be proud of that.
You know?
It's restricting people from the joys of life. I think people like Jennifer are absolute killjoys, complaining about a starfish or a fish. I mean, it's
about
absurd.
Animals who
It's
have lost their
absolutely
lives,
ridiculous. It's
so
outrageous.
that you can have a few extra likes on social media. You know, there was a case.
Excuse me.
No, if I can
No,
just
you
give this
did just say. You
example.
did just say.
If
You
I-
put the picture of you and the donkey up, and you got loads and loads of
I
likes.
got
Yeah,
loads
that
of
was
likes,
about
but
you,
but
by the
that's also
donkey.
what you're saying is really superficial. And it's not just about the likes, it's about promoting conservation. It's
Well, the
about
donkeys
promoting...
in Santorini are used for rides where they are forced to take tourists up steep cobbled
I actually walked up
steps,
that, no...
and they suffer every single day. So that is not a good example for you to use.
He's talking shit. He's not promoting conservation when he takes a selfie with a donkey or a selfie with those sheep, or if there's a starfish like washed up on the beach, and instead of putting the starfish back in the sea to give him a chance at living, you just take selfies. It's not promoting conservation. This guy's chatting shit. I think, you know, in this case, he's chatting shit. I've heard that he's all right in other places, but here, I think, again, this is an example of the producers getting him riled up and being stupid on air. Because at the end of the day, again, I don't see an issue with selfies with animals, but don't pretend it's for any other reason than your own selfish narcissism. Don't pretend it's for conservation. Come off it. I mean, in a vegan's case, in an activist's case, it is to promote a message of be kind to animals. It's to promote a message of, look, their individual personality, especially if you've got a selfie video and a pig is cute and you know, sniffing you and you're having a nice moment. It's not entirely selfish. Like I said, it's got a lot of selfless purpose to it. You're actually trying to show people, look, they're just like any other animal you would care about, like a dog or a cat. They have a personality too, has a meaning to it. But this guy doesn't do that. He's claiming he does, but his selfies that they showed as examples are just like, here's me with some sheep. Here's me with a donkey tied up. Like, how is that helping any animal?
Right, excuse me.
So did you refuse to ride the donkey then?
I refused to ride the donkey in Santorini because I know what you're talking about, the donkeys that take you up the hill. I was on a hike to Oya and I saw some donkeys by a shed, so they were not used to take people up the hill.
Well, of course, you know, it's lovely to take photos of wildlife from a respectable distance, but you don't need to be in the photo.
Gary says, I don't think taking pictures of wild animals should be allowed. Dawn says, I think they should be banned. Pauline says, I witnessed a couple filming their child trying to touch cygnets. They not realise that swans can break your arm.
There you go. Yeah, interesting points on both sides of this. There just needs to be better education with people and wild animals in general. Just stay away from them as much as you can. Just take your photos. You can take selfies from a distance. Take your photos from a distance. Get a big zoom if you want to get closer. And I've been there too. It's tempting. You see a cool animal and you're like, oh, you know, you're an animal lover and you're just interested. You want to get close. And I've been close to wild animals too. Especially I like frogs. I'm a really big fan of frogs. And I know my excuse with frogs, to be honest with you, I've got a good excuse. Usually I see little frogs and they're in places where I'm worried that someone's going to stand on them. But it gives me an excuse to put them in my hand for a little bit, you know, and then move them somewhere. I move snails as well, which again, I just think snails are really cool. But it's as I'm saying, I think it's if you just, and again, I'm not taking pictures, so it's not a narcissistic thing. I think there are ways to be close to wildlife where everybody benefits, right? And going in hard for a hardcore selfie with some animal, which is putting them in a state of stress and making them possibly fall off a cliff. That's one-sided. That's narcissism. You're trying to get a selfie for the gram. You're not helping them at all. There's no intention whatsoever to do anything with that image that actually helps them. So you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. If the horse comes over to you, whip out your phone, get a selfie. I've done that before. I've been in fields where horses come over and I'm like, oh shit, get a cool video. I'm like, this is the horse's head on my shoulder. I'm like, sweet. I'm usually like, horses are usually pretty scary to me, but sometimes they're cool. Sometimes they want to come over and like, I don't know, like have a cool time with you. Sometimes that's how it goes. So get your selfie then, right? There's consent there. If they walk over to you, stick their head here, that's the definition of consent right there. That you're set, you're good to go. Right? They're up for it. They're up for a photo. So you're sorted, right? There you go, guys. It's simple stuff, isn't it? But people are fucking narcissists these days. They're selfish. And they just want to get, like, people are obsessed with social media and Instagram and having the best photo and the most likes, and man, it doesn't mean anything. None of it means anything. Likes are not currency. Shares are not, followers are not currency. And unless your business depends on it, why even bother? Guys, here's my message to you guys. If you don't have a business or any kind of life depending on your social media, just use it in a very, very, like, no, I take this back because you guys are vegans. You guys should be using social media for activism 100%. But if somebody isn't using it for activism and isn't using it for work, why even be on it? Just send your mates pictures when you want to talk to them. Like, why have a public account where it's just photos of you doing stuff? I don't really get that. I was doing it, and then I stopped doing it, and then I started activism, and that's the only reason I'm still on there. Just really think about it, because I think it's sad that so many people waste so much time on stuff that means absolutely nothing to anyone, and will not. It's pointless, completely soulless and pointless. Use social media to help animals. Use social media to raise awareness, to convince people to change what they're doing and help animals with us. That is one of the only reasons, apart from work, like paid work, to do social media. Honestly, that is it, guys. I can't think of any other reason. I want to stay in contact with my friends. I don't know. If you're not actually in contact with them and the only contact they have with you is that they like your Instagram, I mean, are they even friends? Have a WhatsApp group. I don't know. Can you not remain friends if you stop posting to socials? Really? Is that all it's based on? Like, just, oh, I'm only friends with them if they see my story? Is that, I mean, come on. Anyway, this is a whole separate thing anyway. Oy. All right, listen, guys. That was a cool one to finish up on. I think we'll close it off today. I think we'll wrap things up. It's been a nice little chunky couple hours. How long have we been going for? 2 hours, something, just over. Yeah, nice. Well, I enjoyed today. I'll do my best, guys. I've got a little couple of weeks where I should be in one place and like able to do some more streams. But let me tell you what's coming up. Excuse me. This Friday we got Face to Facts Friday. It's a good one. Got some spicy comedy in that one, guys. All right. It's going to be I don't know. Maybe someone's going to be upset. We'll see how it goes, right? So Face to Facts Friday, this Friday. I have got about a year of outreach recorded. So much outreach. You have no idea. Some really crazy stuff. I got really aggressive in one of them. I lost my temper with somebody. And then like twice I got really spicy because people were being like, they deserved it. But apart from that, there's been some really, I mean, that's just entertainment purposes. You know, it's not going to, I don't believe those people are going to go vegan from our interactions. Maybe, who knows? But for the others, I've had some pretty meaningful conversations, some pretty interesting ones. I debated some hardcore preacher, guys. Oh my Lord. This super Christian preacher, anti everything you can think of, anti-vegan, anti-LGBT, anti-wanking. It was like anti everything. And that was a crazy debate that I had with him. I had 2 of them even. They were from the same preacher group. I debated 2 of them. Wild. Absolutely wild videos coming up on that one. So yeah, stick around, guys. Get those notifications turned on. And I will just say one more thing before we close off. For those who missed it earlier, please do consider joining the YouTube memberships team, guys, or the Patreon team to support what I'm doing on a more regular basis. Right now, more than ever, we really do need it. This project needs it. I'm not just talking about YouTube. I'm talking about the other project that I'm working on, which I will reiterate again is an animal rights project, animals project only. No money will be made from this project. We are just pouring. We've got some funding and we're pouring money into it. And we need you to help us to keep on funding this project and also to keep funding this channel. Okay, so if you're in a position to help, please do help. Join the Patreon team or join the YouTube memberships team. It really just goes a long way. Every single penny counts. Every single euro counts right now more than ever, as we're reaching the end of one of the project stages right now. It's been about a year so far, and we're entering into the new stage, which is going to be even more expensive than the one we just finished. And as I said, to reiterate, we will make no money from this project. It is not a project that can really pay us back. All it can pay us back in is what we can do for animals with it. Monetarily, it's not that kind of project. There's nothing that can, you know what I mean? So I don't really want to talk about money with you guys, but it is important because if I don't talk about it, we can't do it, right? Because you guys don't know, and I can't, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I've got to tell you guys the situation. So I hope that some of you out there can help. And if you are somebody who's in a position where you think you could help in a big way, like a really big way, that you think you could make some pretty big moves for us, some pretty big funding, please just email me. It's my email is itsdavidrams@gmail.com, starting with the itsdavidrams@gmail.com. Drop me an email, let me know, and we can discuss how to make that work and the best way to do that to make sure we make the most use out of the funding. So yeah, that's all I've got to say, guys. So thank you to everybody who already is supporting. Thank you to everybody who did all the super chats and the Streamlabs tips and everything today, and all the Patreon and the YouTube membership members. You guys are all absolute legends. Thank you for continuing to do that for us and for everything we do. Legends. Thank you for the support. Stick around. Notifications on, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like, comment, get down in the comments. That's one last thing. Get down in the comments of this video after it's finished, because the live chat will stay, but there'll be no comments in the comments section, and that sucks. So get down there and say something like, awesome stream, enjoyed today, this bit, that bit, your favorite bit, what comments you have, things you've made here, stuff like that. Get down in the comments section, so populate it so it gets going, get some discussions going. I'd really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Keep on being the legends you are, and I'll catch you all in the next one.